Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Haven't done Alien RPG in a little while. This is our, obviously this is our first video coming back from doing Blade Runner. This is my one-shot, The Cold Dark. This is Act 1. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, comment below, and this scenario along with six other one-shots for Alien RPG, a whole campaign and two new careers can be found on my website. I'll put the link in the description of the video. And please, while you're there, poke around. You might just find something you like. I am a starving author, and I'd love the opportunity to show you some of my other work. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll get right to it. I'm sure he probably overslept. So we're just gonna get the ball rolling. Um, so what's the story, Mother? Starglider, a G-class shuttle registered to Seegson Systems, traverses the dark void on its way from the core systems to the frontier. Its destination, GBH-168, otherwise known as Taurus 2 in the Murasaki 312 sector. On board are its pilot, a brilliant physicist and her son, and a company representative. The company assigned a physicist, one Dr. Sunil Mehta, to GBH 168 about a year ago, and about 3 weeks ago he requested assistance. GBH 168 is the perfect place for scientific research. So far from heavily populated space, it's ideal for hiding your work from competitors' prying eyes. No one has any need to go here. It has no vegetation or animal life at all. A lifeless rock that is prone to wind and rain. In the 4 month summer, the planetoid has 12-hour days and 4-hour nights and is a balmy 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. Unfortunately, Starglider is arriving in the middle of the planetoid's 4 month winter, with constant snowstorms and days of only 4 hours that reach a mere 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. The nights last 12 hours and get as low as -70.
Ooh.
Once Starglider has landed, the mission is to meet Dr. Mehta at his lab complex and assist him in whatever way necessary. So, our Bob, hopefully he arrives, but Bob is playing Malcolm Edmonton. Malcolm Edmonton is the pilot of Starglider, of the shuttle. He's a Seegson employee. Uh, Former military. He was in the USCMC Flight Academy, where he excelled. Unfortunately, in basic, he was wounded by some moron firing a live round and almost paralyzed. USCMC at that point couldn't take him as a pilot, and he took disability and exited the Corps. Instead, he now works for Seegson as a pilot. Probably finds it to be a very mundane existence, but it is what it is. And to show you Mr. Malcolm Edmonton, there he is right there. All right, Marty, tell us about your character. Who are you playing?
Okay, I am playing. Hold on a second, let me show you. I am playing Mercedes Lamara. Mercedes is a Seegson exec. She's young and an upcomer. If anybody in the company knows, they know that she's a rising star in the company, and you can obviously see that she's she's extremely pretty, but um, and she's basically, like I said, an exec in the company that is here to basically observe and see how the doctor is doing, what this means to the company, how his research is going. So she's along to be the eyes and ears of the executive committee of the company.
All right. Uh, Jim, tell us about Chip.
All right, Chip. Chip is a youngin. He is just turned 18. has a unrequited love interest in um, Dr. Meta's daughter,
Ooh.
who's named Kalinda. Both of them are kind of nerds and bonded over that kind of stuff, ancient classical music, playing role games. Sounds like myself, except for the classical music part when I was 18. And so he is very excited that her mom has been assigned to this outpost so that he can reconnect with Kalinda, and it's just the best thing ever. And that's
Okay,
Chip.
I have all right. I have a question.
Okay.
Whose mom?
It is Sharif's character,
Yep.
which is I forget the name.
That's Chip's mom.
Yep.
That's Chip's mom. Yeah,
So
Oh,
Sharif
okay.
is my mom.
Sharif introduced Chip's mom, since we're
I
on the
was
topic.
okay. I was getting confused over. Yeah, I was just getting a little. All right, so all
Yeah, that's
right.
that's right.
Okay, so Chip's mom is known as Louise. That's Mallory is her family name. She is, I don't know if any of this is classified,
Eh,
like what sort of classifications Seegson has for their own company secrets, but essentially she's a theoretical and experimental physicist that works for Seegson. She's been working for them exclusively since she got out of Caltech 25 years ago. And she's been involved in research surrounding uh, what's it called? A collection system, a new theoretical collection system designed for plasma trawlers, which basically allows people to transform elements by radiation bombardment. She worked very closely with Dr. Mehta. They were associates on this project for a long time, and then the company decided to split them off and give them each a separate thread of the same research. She did this for a while on her own in a completely different research facility than Dr. Mehta, but very recently she was uh, she was told that her research was being shut down and that Dr. Mehta was close to a breakthrough and that she would be joining him to help further his research, as he is like right there at the end and requires assistance. So initially she was disappointed, but the scientist in her went out. She's actually quite intrigued to see what Dr. Mehta has been able to accomplish. As far as like a personal relationship with Dr. Mehta, she has nothing but kind things to say about him. He was a mentor, very kind to her. And even though the company sort of forced them to compete, it did nothing to tarnish her opinion of him. She thinks he's the cat's ass. She's also aware of the budding romance between her son and Dr. Mehta's teenage daughter, who she likes as well. Overall, she seems like a very good employee. She's very conscientious. She has very, maybe a little too corporate for some people's taste, but she's very the kind of employee that you want to have. She's dedicated and cheerful.
All right. Very good. So we will.
How do you spell the doctor's last name?
Meta Mehta.
Mehta.
Yep.
That seem. Have we run into that name before? Not. I mean, I'm not saying the characters are connected. It's just it seems like some names get reused from time to time.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I try to use name generators, so
Oh, okay.
that tends to create a lot of variation. Um, so we'll kind of cut through the waking up from cryo and all that. Let's be honest, we've done that a zillion times, and there's not much need. Um, Starglider is approaching GBH 168, and all of you have been in space to more or lesser extents. And GBH 168 is one of the smaller planets that you've seen. Of course, at a distance, they all look small, but as you start coming up on orbit, you realize that that Taurus 2 is truly a planetoid. To call it a planet would not be fair. Your guess would be it might be a third the size of Earth. It is overall very gray with and covered with huge swirling clouds. The Malcolm Edmonton, your pilot, he suggests that you all strap in as he makes approach. Obviously, we'll be making planetfall. He says, "This is a little strange. I've reached out to the colony complex, and I'm not receiving an answer. It's uh, it's just dead. It's like their network connection is down. But I've got the colony beacon online. I've got landing coordinates. I know where I'm going. It's like there's nobody on the phone." So but he says anyhow, we're going to make planetfall. I'll do a flyover before I land at the landing pad coordinates. We'll see if we can pick somebody up on radio.
Are we on, Mr. Edmonton? Are we on schedule?
Perfectly, Ms. Lamar.
So he should be expecting us. Okay.
All right. So he looks around and says, "All of you, make sure you strap in. There's a lot of storms on this planet. Could be a little bit of a rough ride." And he makes his piloting roll. Does he? There we go. These character sheets are a little different from previous ones. And I'm going to try something really quickly. I'm going to hit. I'm not actually pushing it. I'm just seeing how it worked. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Good enough.
So the push works.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
But I liked, on the old sheet, I liked some of the handy buttons, like Nerves of Steel had a little click box and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to those character sheets. These are the ones that we have now. I think these are the official Free League character sheets
Gotcha.
for use with Roll20, but the other ones just aren't there anymore. They're in my old games, but they're not available for new games. Not
Gotcha.
sure. Anyhow, Edmonton expertly pulls the ship down into the atmosphere, and as he promised, it is a bumpy ride. The planet seems to be covered with large storms. You pass through one of these and emerge out of cloud cover in night, and as you're closing in on the coordinates, which are miles away, a couple hundred miles away, in fact. Of course, you're moving very fast. You actually cross over into day. You can almost see the meridian of day and night. As he comes over, as he starts to near the landing pad in the colony, there's he hits the radio and starts contacting the colony. GBH 168, come in. Is anyone there? A crackling voice picks up and says, "Yes, come in, Starglider." It's all broken up, but as you guys continue to approach it, its signal seems to clear up a little bit. This is colony manager Paul Whalen. Do you read me? Edmonton replies, "Getting clearer the closer we get. We're coming up on landing. Do we have clearance?" Paul says, "We do. As soon as you land, you folks need to get inside. There's only about an hour of daylight left. Night's coming, and there's a big storm moving in." Edmonton says, "We flew through it as we're coming in." He said, "So yeah, you don't want to be outside at night. It gets very cold." Edmonton says, Roger, and he brings the ship in. Nope, don't need to answer that. I get so many spam calls, it kills me. So Malcolm expertly brings the ship down, puts it on a landing pad, and I'm going to give you guys your agendas
Oh,
if you're ready. Let's see. I had Chip Mallory first.
Just putting this into the log.
Yep, you should see it on your character sheet. Dr. Mallory?
oh, so you're cutting and pasting, so it's magically popping up.
It should. Uh, Malcolm Edmonton, though he's not here, but hopefully he'll pop in. Okay, and Mercedes Lamara. Come on. Of course, I'm copying and pasting from a PDF, so it's doing some weird things with the punctuation. All right, you guys should all see.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. The colony manager's voice comes over radio, and he says, Starglider, this is Paul Whalen again. You've got about an hour before nightfall comes, so you really should make your way over to the complex and get indoors. You can find me in the colony control, the C3, and I'm going to pull you guys over. You guys should see a map. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So you are parked off to the southwest. You of course got a good look at the center as you flew over, and honestly, the layout of this place shouldn't be terribly shouldn't be much of a secret. As you flew over, the whole area is covered in white. Blinding white that reflects the light from the sun. Snow, snow and ice. Around the colony, it seems to be a few feet deep, but a little, just not far beyond the colony's perimeter, there are snowdrifts that tower 20 and 30 feet tall. You're arriving in the middle of winter, and of course, it rarely gets above freezing here, even during the day during winter. So, obviously, the planetoid has plenty of water, and the snow masses up with nowhere to go. So,
I have a question. Is this a company colony? In other words,
yes,
was it established by Seegson, so everyone's basically a Seegson employee?
correct.
All right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep, absolutely. Um, Edmonton unbuckles himself from his chair, stands up, and says, "All right. Well, I did my job."
So we're on a landing pad, so clearly we got to suit up to get out of here, right?
Well, the atmosphere is breathable. It's
Oh
just
no, I
very
meant
cold.
what? But it's cold.
Right.
It's getting really cold.
Yeah, it's a
Fast.
little above freezing at the moment.
All right. Well,
Chip is pacing back and forth, getting very anxious. Can we go yet?
well, I'm unfastening my harness and going to get my stuff. I got to get my briefcase and my duffel bag, my personals, and getting ready to go. Um, and if I've got a warm, I imagine I have a warm jacket because of the environment we're coming to. So I'm just going to put on a coat.
Yes, Chip, just make sure to gather everything so you don't leave anything behind, okay? I don't want to have to come back here for your
Yeah,
jacket
yeah.
or your
I
phone.
know. I know. I know. Can we go yet? Come on, it's going to get dark and cold. We got to get going.
All right. So C3. What is C3?
Command control
Command
communications.
control communications. Um, so where do we bounce? Where do we bounce to first? Um, well, let's go to command and control and find the manager of the colony, and uh, then he can point out where we can put our stuff in habitation. Where's I'm looking at this thing. I'm bouncing. I can't control this very well. I see the Seegson store and colony supply, C3, infirmary, cantina, and habitation. Is there an obvious building on this map? Is there a building on this map that's obviously where the Dr. Meta's research is being done?
No.
That's what I thought. I didn't see it. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but let's get off this thing. So I've got my stuff, and I'm gonna crack the hatch and make my way to C3.
All right. I think Edmonton for Malcolm, for lack of anything better to do, probably follows you, but he has a generally disinterested look on his face.
He's the pilot.
Chip and Dr. Mallory, are you two following along, or?
Sure.
All right.
Oh yeah, I'm right behind.
So as you come up from the southwest, and it is very cold. Snowflakes are starting to fall. It looks like the area is plowed to some extent, relatively reasonably. You're almost walking relatively often. You're almost walking in a, it feels like almost a tunnel of white with these 20 and 30-foot snow drifts on either side of you as you head in. Eventually, it opens up, and about where you get to about right here on the map, yeah, and you see the prefab buildings more clearly. It looks like there are nylon runners that connect the entrances of the different buildings. You see one that runs from C3 over to habitation. You see one that runs from C3 to the infirmary. Another one that runs up to the large store slash colony supply center. Um, and you follow one of these over to the relatively small C3 building. It's you know, there's a large dish and transmitter on top. It's not a give me 1 second. Sorry, I misplaced my spot in my PDF, which I always find a way to do no matter what. I have mad skills where that's concerned. It's not a large building at all. It's only it's only 3 meters by 3 meters with a transmitter on top. Transmitter and
Building.
dish. Yeah, it's almost a Quonset hut. It's a closet. Um,
Well, I'm gonna stick my head in. Is there a door, auto door?
there's a security door with a keypad and with a swipe as well. Um, Other than that, the building doesn't have any windows of any kind. It's completely prefab plastisteel.
Okay. Is there a buzzer or something?
Sure.
I'm gonna hit the buzzer.
All right. Um, the the door opens up after just a moment, and inside is this guy right here. Whoa, let's turn that down. We don't need that to be that loud. What's going on there? Is this guy? He's standing at a bank of computers. Come on now.
Pop him up so I can see him.
I'm working on it. There we go. Ignore the green background, obviously. I didn't have time to filter that out.
He looks happy, she said sarcastically.
he
Excuse me, Mr. Whalen. Are you Mr. Whalen?
he said, I am.
Can I call you Paul?
Sure. You're Ms.
Hi, Paul.
Lamara, I assume?
I'm Mercedes Lamara, yes, and it's kind of cold out here.
Yeah, come on in, please.
There's not much room for all of us, but we'll step in quickly. So she steps in with her stuff because she's got a briefcase and she's got her personal items. So she's got like a, something like a suitcase with some stuff. Steps in, looks back at the doctor and Chip and Malcolm. Well, you coming in? Or are you standing out there a freeze?
Right behind you.
Okay, great.
He says, I understand that you've been sent by the company to check on Dr. Maida's research. I don't know much beyond that, but you're not going to be able to do that right now, I'm afraid.
When can we see Dr. Maida?
Well, Knight's going to be here Knight's going to be here very soon, another half hour or so. It gets way too cold at night. Because it's going to be about a 3-hour hike to the lab complex.
What can you tell us about the state of his research?
I can't tell you anything. I'm not informed on that. He pretty much sticks to himself. They call in when they need any additional supplies run down to them, and other than that, we.
How many staffers does he have?
It's just him, his daughter, and an engineer, Mr. Jalil Ekwenzi.
Kalinda's down there. Can I give her a call?
Waylon kind of, his head kind of pops back for a second. He says, I suppose I can give you access, and he looks at Dr. Mallory, and he looks at Mercedes. Hey, if that's okay with everybody.
Why don't we just wait until the morning, Chip? It's only 4 hours. She'll be just as thrilled to see you in 4 hours as she is now.
It's 12. Night's
12 hours.
Yeah.
No, sorry. My bad.
Oh, no, that's 12 hours. Why can't I just call?
Is it putting you out, Mr. Whalen?
Chip, you want to make a manipulation roll?
Will do. All right, I'm clicking. I'm not seeing anything. What am I doing here?
Yeah, the character sheet's a little different from what it was.
Oh, there we go. It's just asking for add or subtract from them. Okay, got it.
Gotcha. All right, you have no successes. If you'd like to push that, just add a stress and hit the push button.
Gonna do that because I'm stressed out anyway. Let's see, where is the stress? Stress is
It's on the left side of the character sheet.
Left side. There we go.
Yeah.
And
and
push it. You.
By the way, I updated everybody's story points on their character sheets from the last game. I went back and pulled them, so you do have those. Then
cool.
just press the push button on the.
Look at you.
All right.
Persuasive as a little
He
kid.
gave him his puppy eyes.
That's right. Colony
It
Manager.
didn't roll the stress die though, did it? I guess it did. It didn't roll. I didn't get any panic, so that's good. Okay.
No, so you're good. Yeah, I've noticed that it only shows the responses the results on the stress die if it's either a panic or a success. Like I said, these new character sheets are a little different. Mr. Whalen looks at you and says, "No, I suppose that would be fine. I can set you up with a comm link down there in just a few minutes, as soon as everybody's good with it."
Well, Mr. Whalen, now I have a question. You said that you take down supplies when the Dr. Meta needs them. How do you get the supplies to his location?
With our tractor, which is parked over by habitation. We also use it to plow the area. Of course, you notice the snow's been stacking up a little bit. We're having a little trouble with it right now.
So, is there some way that maybe you could give us a lift on the tractor tomorrow? You said it's a 3-hour hike, but I would have expected that you'd have some kind of conveyance.
Uh, yeah, we've had some difficulties lately. The the drive system and the battery pack are are non-functional. I would have put in a request for replacement components as quickly as possible, but our network connection's down too. That's why we couldn't contact you when you reached orbit.
I
Um,
see. I was going to ask because I didn't see any record of any requests for aid.
no, he holds out. He kind of clips something off his belt, and it's a hand radio. He goes, "This is the only thing we have." We've got internal communication, of course, but beyond that, I can't hit the network. So I've got this to communicate ships when they get close enough if they break the atmosphere. But that's about it.
Well, do you think that we could at least give it a try tomorrow rather than 3-hour hike? Maybe we could. Maybe you could try and give us some kind of a lift or something, even if it's a hayride. What do you think? And she smiles real brightly at him.
Well, that didn't work out. How'd you roll nothing but ones and twos? That's amazing. Would you like to push that roll?
Well, let's take a
You
look.
rolled nothing but ones and twos on 8 dice. There it is. All right. He says, "Well, I don't have any other form of transportation, but I'll certainly I can certainly show you the tractor, and we can put our heads together. If we had the spare parts, we'd have repaired it already, but maybe you can come up with something. I'm not
So you're
sure."
saying the tractor's not running? How do you get supplies to the doctor if your tractor's not working?
Well, the tractor's only been non-functional for the last day or two. It's
Oh,
a
okay.
recent occurrence.
I got the impression that it was an intermittent thing. So
No. And the doctor has his own tractor as well. Of course, it's down at the lab complex.
how nice for him. Okay. Could you or one of your folks show us where we can put our stuff for the night, and we could crash for the evening?
He says, yeah, certainly. We've got guest accommodations available in habitation. I'll take you there. Um, he looks at Chip. He says, do you want to make that call now?"
Yes, please.
He says, "All right, no problem." He walks. He steps over to one of the terminals and punches up a couple buttons, uh, and then he says, just speak clearly into the mic. I've got it set up for the connection to the lab complex."
Hey, Kalinda, can you hear me?
There's no answer.
Kalinda, it's Chip. Can you hear me? Looking worriedly around.
There's
What's
no
going on? You
answer.
think this is? Are you sure this thing's on?
He looks at it. He goes, "Oh, it's definitely on." He presses the transmit button. And he says, "Lab complex. This is Paul Whalen. Please respond." And there's no answer.
Dun dun dun.
Bomb, what's going on?
This is this blackout in communications happen a lot? Is it the storm?
Said no, no. Uh, we we have power and communications. The lines are run underground between here and the lab complex, so we don't have interruptions. We don't have these problems.
I've never known Dr. Mehta not to answer the phone when he's called. He's
We
very
got to
good
find out
about
what's
that.
going on. Is there video or something we can see?
No, the lab complex is everything, of course, that happens there. No, we don't. It's all
What if something
proprietary.
happened to them? We need to go there to make sure nothing happened to them.
Look, Mr. Whalen, I don't want to sound alarmist, but I played in a lot of Marty's campaigns, and this is not good news. Okay, this is not an accident of fate. We really need to get there. Call the Marines.
Call the Marines.
Got 17 days before they get here.
Oh, that trick. Yes, I forgot that. Oh,
I'm sure everything's fine. It'll all be fine.
Paul
Marty's also
says
played in a lot of Martin's games, so he's got a little bit of Stockholm syndrome right now. He thinks this is all going to be fine.
Eh,
This isn't going to be fine. I start putting on my jacket.
oh, wait, Paul holds his hands up and goes, "Hold on, just hold on."
Chip, where are you going? Take
You,
that off.
he says, "You guys can't go out there." He goes, "Night is falling as we speak. It's going to probably be -50, -60 degrees tonight Celsius. You can't go out there. You'll freeze before you reach the first marker."
Do you have a special maintenance team or people kitted out for this who could go out there?
Um, well, I mean, there's we all have our own cold weather gear that gives some protection. You can pick it up at the store. I'm sure Sven and Connie keep plenty of extra inventory. But even with the cold weather gear, it gets so cold at night. You're not going to. You're probably not going to make it. It's a 3-hour hike as it is. At night, it's in a blizzard. We got a snowstorm coming in. It's probably going to take you at least 5 hours to get there at night. Because it's not you can't possibly consider going out there.
I'm pacing around. Is there a window in this
There is
building?
not.
There isn't.
I would
Yeah.
have thought you would have somebody on the team, Mr. Whalen, who could check on things and render aid or assistance or, I mean, something.
Um, Edmonton speaks up. He's been mostly disinterested here until probably the last couple minutes. And he says, "How long's your network connection been down?" And Waylon answers, uh, "Not entirely sure. Definitely the last day or so." Edmonton says, "Is that the connection on top of the building here?" He goes, Waylon says, "Yeah, that's where it's at." Edmonton says, "We've got a few minutes of daylight left. Should we check that out?"
Well, don't you think it would be prudent to at least see if the equipment is operating correctly on your end?
Yeah, Waylon says, "Yeah, probably. I'm not really a technician though, so." But Edmonton shrugs his jacket on and says, "I'll. Is there a way to climb up there?" And he goes, "I'm sure there's an access ladder somewhere on the side of the building here." He goes, "Let's go see what's going on." And he just
Mr.
steps.
Ed,
He steps right
Mr.
up there.
Edmonton, can I ask you a question before you leave?
He goes, "Yeah. What you need
Is
done?"
it possible to fly us to the laboratory? Or is there nowhere to land over there? She'll say to Mr. Whalen,
Yeah, Paul
questioning.
Whalen says there. He says there's no landing pad at the laboratory. They Seegson built it that way on purpose. They want everyone to come through here before going through the lab. You the snow drifts out there. We kept the road plowed. That is until our tractor went down. It's so the snow drifts out there. I mean, there's snow and ice that's 30 foot tall. There's nowhere to land. You'll probably damage your ship even trying.
I see.
Edmonton hits the door, and he was kind of half turned listening to that exchange, and he like I said, he hits the door and he steps outside. Um, the light outside is going quickly, and like the snowfall is starting to become heavier.
Mr. Whelan, how many employees are there here at the colony?
Well, there's Dr. Mehta uh, and Jalil Ekwenzi, his engineer down there, of course. Sven and Connie Nielsen handle the store and colony supply, and then we've got uh, sorry, my brain just went out on me completely. And then we've got Talia. She's our RN over at the infirmary.
So, thank you for the extraneous information. I did ask how many, and frankly, you don't have a technician that works here at your facility here.
Well, you know, Jaleel, even though he works directly with the doctor, he would handle certain maintenance items when necessary. Sven's got some basic maintenance. We haven't needed anybody really. It's the whole place is pretty self-sufficient. Everything runs like it's supposed to.
Oh, and yet you have a tractor that's broken down, and you have an internet that doesn't work.
Well, I mean that's kind of a recent thing. It just happened.
Oh, I see.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, Bob.
Hi guys.
right.
So, Bob, quick update.
All right, hold on a second.
Okay.
While you're updating Bob, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and come right back.
Okay. Bob, quick update. You're a pilot taking Dr. Louise Mallory and her son Chip and company rep Lamara to GBH 168 to check on and aid the scientific research of a physicist there, Dr. Sunil Mehta. You guys have landed on an ice and snowbound planetoid. It is a few minutes to night. Chip tried to call down to the lab complex, didn't receive an answer. You have learned that their tractor on site is non-functional, as well as their network connection. You literally just did this. You had walked outside and climbed up a service ladder built into the C3 building to check out the network transmitter, and I rolled your heavy machinery, and you had a success. The network system is down. They have no connectivity to the network at all, and it's not just broken, it's actually been damaged.
Gotcha.
And what I mean by that is your heavy machinery success. It didn't just break on its own. It wasn't a matter of a high wind broke off an antenna. Someone actually went to work on this thing. It's been physically attacked, essentially. So, Louise and Chip, what are you guys up to?
Louise will begin occupying herself with preparing quarters for her and Chip, since there doesn't look like there's any other course of action that will get them to the laboratory.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have knowledge of what Edmonton's discovered. So yeah, that's what she'll do.
All right. So she basically headed down to habitation then, because I would think that would be the next step. Paul would take you down to habitation and show you guys where you can bunk in.
Sure.
Of course, you have 12 hours to kill, which is essentially two shifts. Habitation is habitation. Chip, are you going with mom down to habitation?
I guess so.
Okay. As Waylon's taking you guys down there, he points out the runners and he says, night lasts 12 hours and the storms get pretty bad. Um, when visibility can get very low, um, he hands you all he hands every one of you a clip with a with a about a foot of nylon rope at the end of it, and says if you have to go out during one of the storms, just clip onto the runners. That way, if as long as you're following the nylon rope, you're going to be fine. You'll get to where you're going, or at least you'll get to one of the buildings. But it can be really hard to see during some of these storms, so just be aware of that.
Great, thank you.
Um, Are you going with them down to habitation, Mercedes?
You betcha.
All right.
I want to dump this stuff.
So, habitation's a pretty large building. There's some semi-private rooms that are clearly set up based, on the people that actually for the people that actually live here. There are a couple of triple-decker bunk beds, and that's where Paul Whalen directs you to. Um, he says you guys can certainly bunk in here for now. There's a few things to keep you busy here. He points around. You guys see there's a pool table, shuffleboard, an old foosball table, and a what looks like a holographic chess set. There's a and then there's an antique appearing jukebox. He says if you guys like music, that's programmed with a wide selection of classics from the late 20th century. The cantina is off on the eastern side. If you guys need to get something to eat, there's coffee. We don't have much. It's mostly prefab meals and coffee, but it's there. I highly recommend. Obviously, you shouldn't really go anywhere. You shouldn't really go anywhere at night except between the buildings. But you should probably pick yourselves up some cold weather gear from the colony supply store before you make that hike out to the lab. So if
Okay.
and
I have an out of, I have an out of game comment.
shoot,
Does anyone think that this Paul Whalen picture looks a bit like Jeremy Renner?
Yes.
oh
think
really?
that
I
is-
hadn't considered that.
It just struck me. I was looking at it.
Well,
Yeah, very similar.
this
My
person does not exist.
character's portrait also reminds me of like three different people. She has that kind of face.
Okay, let's get back to the game. All right, so
That's interesting. There it is.
so is Edmonton still? Is Edmonton with us, or is he still checking
Um,
out the equipment?
He was on top of the building. What do you want to do, Edmonton?
I guess, finish up and return back and report everything I saw and discovered.
Okay. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. All right, so we'll drag you. By the time you finish up, it gets dark on this planet quickly. And actually, as you're walking across, and it's starting to snow very heavily. I would think that visibility is dropping down pretty quickly. You're probably down to 15 meters or so as the snow comes down more heavily. Would you make an observation roll for me, please? Oh, a success! Look at that.
On 3 dice.
Um, for a brief moment, you saw a flash of movement, from on the other side of this building. Not sure it was anything. Might have just been the snow, but you got the distinct impression that somebody's head popped around the corner of the building and then disappeared.
I will yell out, kind of, hello, is anybody there? Hello?
No answer except the howl of the wind.
Chalking it up to imagination, I will continue to head back.
Perfect. You make it to habitation, and the three of you are, I guess, dropping your stuff, settling in a little bit.
Yeah, I dropped my stuff in wherever the beds were, and now I'm toying around with the jukebox and checking out the holographic chess.
Do you play a song off the jukebox?
I do. What's available?
A wide selection of classic songs from the 1960s through 1990s, it looks like.
All right. I want Sister Christian by Night Ranger. It's Kalinda's favorite song from the 80s.
Awesome.
Nice. All right. The holographic chess set's pretty neat. It's you click it on and and it's set up to start a game. Obviously, black and white, everything's in the starting positions. It looks like you move the pieces through a set of controls on either side, depending on which player you are. Um,
Can you play the computer?
you can, yes, absolutely. Do you want to play
All
white or
right.
black?
I will pick white.
You will pick white. All right. All right. Dr. Mallory, what are you up to? Well, I should say this: Malcolm Edmonton strolls in, and I guess Bob, you informed them that the network connection, dish, and transmitter are not actually just down; they've been actually damaged.
Yep, we're vandalized. I tell you, totally vandalized. Need to find the person who's on PCP and kick them out of here.
PCP, do you really think so?
It's either that or wood glue.
So someone did this deliberately, destroyed that equipment. It's not from a storm.
There were clear marks of cutting, and I think there was even blowtorch marks, but I couldn't be sure. Some kind of burning or something, maybe.
I tell you what. Since you said that, and I should have done this earlier, make a straight wits roll. Look at you.
Wow.
Um, it looks like as you looked at it, and as you're looking back at it in your mind's eye, might have been an axe.
Yeah, looks like somebody grabbed one of the emergency fire axes or something and just had it on the equipment. They definitely don't want anybody to phone out.
Oh my.
Yes,
Louise will say, as someone who's never played in one of Marty's campaigns before, I suggest we tell the base manager about this. I mean, he has to know, right? This is serious. He must not be aware.
Isn't he with us? Didn't he show us to the habitation?
He did. I think once he showed you where to settle in, he probably announced that he was going to head over to the cantina to grab some coffee.
Well, after that weather, coffee sounds real good.
All right. Chip, make a wits roll since you're playing chess.
Sorry, I'm on the laptop, so I don't have much real estate here. Hold on. Make a wits roll, right?
Yep. If you were playing, well, what the heck? I'm confused. What did it
Yeah,
do there?
I just clicked wits. I don't know. Let me try again just to see
If you were
what's.
playing against a human, I'd probably have you make a manipulation roll, but you're playing a computer. I don't think you can manipulate the computer.
That's weird. I rolled 3 yellow die twice. What does
That's
this mean?
very strange. Let me take a look
Hold
at.
on. Let me take a look at my sheet a little bit
Oh,
bigger
your
here.
wits. You have 0 wits. Hold on.
Oh, that's why I'm rolling the 3 on the stress die.
Yep, there we
That's
go.
odd.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. There we go. All right,
okay.
it's corrected now. Now make your roll. My apologies. That's my fault.
All right.
I just
All right.
forgot to
No.
plug in your wit score.
Oh, got it. Okay. I thought it was just a dumb teenager. All right. Well, I hate this double. There we go.
All
I
right.
think Bobby
One
Fischer
success.
was a grandmaster by the time he was 18.
No.
Yeah. So
No.
you're finding that the computer is not terribly bright. Uh, within it's making all the standard moves that you would expect. The king's pawn moved first and that type of thing. It developed its knight way too early, and you took it with a queen in a very simple and avoidable move. You kind of look down, you realize, oh, it's on beginner. That's why. Um,
Hmm.
um, did so, Malcolm? You made the comment of coffee.
That I did.
You'd like to head over to the cantina?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as soon as one of these people over here show me the way, I would be grateful for it. I think.
Mercedes is heading over that way anyway. Um, After hearing this news from Edmonton, my intention is to speak to Whalen again. If he's over there, that's where I'm going. And if I get some coffee and an MRE, then so much the better.
All right. Which door are you guys going out? This one or this one?
Well, that's a good question. Um,
When in doubt, as a game master, provide an option that
well,
may
If it
not really affect anything, but it
I'll
just might.
just, I'll just.
if it's bad weather, I would go through that door.
Okay.
Which door did you ping? The north door?
Yeah.
Yep, north.
Well, if you're going that way, I might as well go with you.
All right. As you guys head out that door, it's getting cold outside. I mean, it was cold when you guys landed, but it's getting cold. Um, and the snowstorm is picking up as you guys walk this way. The runner that leads from the habitation door to the cantina just kind of leads to here where it splits off, where you can go to either door. Cantina's got 2 doors that you can see. As you come around the corner of habitation, you see parked outside. You see parked outside the eastern door of habitation. You see the tractor that Waylon mentioned they have. It's just parked there, plugged into the building. Um, and as you come up to the canteen, as you're approaching, you see this door open, and Waylon's coming out that door. It looks like he's heading straight across, um, and
Straight across the infirmary?
towards the infirmary. Yeah.
Well, I'll call to him.
All right.
Paul, Mr. Whalen, do you have a moment, please?
He
And
kind of
I'm,
looks down at his coffee, which looks like it's already losing its temperature, losing its warmth, and then he kind of looks up to you and he says, and he looks across to the infirmary. Then he turns around, and looks behind him to the cantina. He goes, Okay, all right. Let's just step inside. It's too cold to talk out here.
Yes, let's step back inside the cantina. Great idea.
All right. So he's there with you. He says,
Uh, Edmonton, Mr. Edmonton, please tell Mr. Whalen what you found out.
Well, I went up to the inspector comms gear, and it looks like vandalism. I'm not sure who would do it, but everything was destroyed. It looks like somebody took one of the emergency access to it, totally ripped it apart.
um, okay. Why don't you both make observation rolls for me? We
Hold on, I gotta
successes
expand my.
for Malcolm.
All I can smell is the coffee.
Holy shit, Mercedes. Um, so, uh, you notice this has an obvious effect on him. He seems to shiver slightly. Maybe an effect of the cold, but his pupils dilate for just a moment. Um, and the cantina, to describe this, the cantina is kind of a it's a large rectangular space. It's not really that large. It's 3 meters wide, maybe 7 meters long, give or take. Has a handful of tables with stools set out, kind of like a basic cafeteria. There are along the eastern wall. There are dispensing units for different things. One, prefab meals, bottles of water, coffee, stuff like that. And as you look around, and as you said that to him, there's another man in here with you guys.
Oh, I was gonna ask, is there anybody here? I
Yeah.
should have checked that before I opened my big fat mouth.
Um, he looks like this, and he's got a hand cart like a dolly, and he's got crates on it. Uh, and one of the crates is open, and he's pulling prefab meals out of one of the crates, and he's loading up one of the dispensing units with prefab meals. And he says he kind of overhears what you said to Paul, and he says with a accented English, sounds like he's from Northern Europe maybe, which of course we all know I don't do accents, but he says it's the Geist. The Geist did it just like it did this, and he points at one of the prefab meal dispensing units that is damaged. And I'd say by your observation successes, Mercedes, it looks like the thing has been banged on with a heavy, sharp implement multiple times. Paul shakes his head and says, "There's no such thing as a Geist, Sven."
Um, I gently take Whelan by the arm and pull him back into a corner as far away from Sven as possible, and continue the discussion in a very low tone of voice, almost a whisper.
All right.
Paul, don't you think that this is all connected? Until recently, you had no problem with your tractor, and now you have trouble with your tractor. And you've got this damaged machine. You've got now a recent destruction of your communications equipment on top of the C3 building. Um, Someone is sabotaging your operation, don't you think? This is very concerning.
He,
This is a
he,
Seegson facility, and and I'm a Seegson executive. This facility is to do research, and this could all get in the way of that work.
he says, well, yeah, when you kind of put it all together, Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I've been on the frontier for a long time. Things happen on the frontier. It's to be expected. But this, you know, look, Sven over there, he's a superstitious sort. He's saying there's some sort of ghost or something running around doing all this. But yeah, I get it. Something's wrong. But on the other hand, the network connection's been down a day or two. We all know it takes, and yes, I did write this into the scenario before one of you said it. We all know it only, if the network connection goes down, Seegson's going to send a team out, um, and we all know that takes about 17 days. So we've got enough supplies here. We just have to hunker down until we get help.
Are there any indigenous life forms on this planetoid?
None. It's a rock. No indigenous life.
Then why would you consider hunkering down when it's obviously someone in your team or Dr. Meta's team damaging the facility?
They may be damaging the facility, but they're not. Whatever's happened, they haven't attacked anybody. They're
Yet.
well, as far as I know, it could be a stowaway on the last supply from the last supply ship. I don't know, but I don't have a way to get. I can't leave this. I can't leave the facility here to go to the lab complex. I'm not leaving Sven, Connie, and Talia by themselves here. So we're just trying to stay in touch with each other and just wait until everything calms down,
Well,
until we get help.
don't you think you could consider some ways to try and find if it's a stowaway or a team?
It's hard to find much of anything out here. That when
Well,
we get
let
one
me-
of these snowstorms that comes through and
Let's work this through together like it's a problem, because I think it is. It's a corporate problem, and we can work on this together. Um, and she flashes him another big smile and touches his arm and says, do you have the ability to lock these buildings?"
well the Seegson store, yes. Habitation also can lock from inside. The cantina and the infirmary don't lock, unfortunately. Of course, the command post locks. It automatically locks when the door's closed. Only
Well,
I have access.
what I was thinking was, if we took all of the folks that are here, and we went into one of the buildings, and then we locked down all the other buildings so no one can go in them, that would leave your stowaway, your so-called stowaway that you can't find, out in the cold overnight. Very difficult to survive overnight, don't you think?
Might
Wouldn't
be.
that force the culprit to, I don't know, maybe even beg to come in out of the cold?
Possibly. Do we necessarily want to force ourselves into a confrontation with someone if they use violence against equipment? We don't know how desperate this person might be. Wouldn't it be best just to keep to ourselves and let them do whatever they're going to do till help comes?
And continuously destroy company property at infinitum at their own will?
Wow.
I don't think so. I think we have to do something to try and stop this.
This is okay. Well, we can talk a little further about that. In the meantime, what is Malcolm doing while Mercedes is having this talk with Paul Whalen?
He would have a chat with Swen and just try and find some coffee and something to eat, and just ask him, so what is this Geist thing you're talking about?
He Um, he points to the coffee dispensers, which are free, um, and he just hands you one of the prefab meals. He says the dispensers, employees have to put in their personal code to be dispensed the prefab meals. Unfortunately, I'm sure we haven't been set up with a code since you're not posted here. So here, just take this. He hands you one. He says this place is I've been here with my wife now for a year, and all of a sudden there are bad things happening. The one of something broke into one of the dispensers here. There's no animals here. There's no life here. There's no nothing. We lost network. Something broke into the infirmary. He goes there's some spirit here. It surely has to do with the scientists. They've created something. They've brought something. I don't know, but this is not safe. We should all get in your ship and fly away. Honestly,
Who's speaking right now?
that is Sven,
And
Sven. Oh yeah,
the guy in the cantina who was
this
loading up the.
superstitious janitor guy.
As he's talking about spirits and stuff, I'll just shake my head and kind of grab 3 or 4 of the prefab meals and kind of semi tuck them under my jacket because we don't have access codes yet. Right, Swain. Okay, spirits. Got you there. Talk to the scientists. Right.
He says, and don't worry, I'll have Connie start a company tab for you for those until you get access codes for them to charge them against your pay.
Uh, Excellent. Thanks. I mean, you can just put them against Mercedes. I think she said she'll sort it out for us. Yeah.
He says, all right, I'll talk to my wife about it when I get back to the store. Not a problem. He says, but we really should consider just leaving, getting back to occupied space where we have a network connection with your ship.
Well, I'm just the person that flies the ship here. So as soon as one of the clients makes the call, we're out of here.
He closes up the empty crate that he was unloading from, and he moves to this door and hits the button. It opens up. The storm outside, it's pitch black, and all you see is a flurry of white. And he zips up his coat, attaches a clip to one of the runners, and closes the door behind him as he leaves. While all this is going on, what are Chip and Dr. Mallory up to?
Louise will suggest to Chip that they should make their way to the Seegson store to get their cold weather gear so they can be ready for going out to the lab.
Yeah, Chip grudgingly agrees to go along.
All right. All right. Yeah, the chess game was probably getting boring anyway, unless you wanted to up the difficulty level. It's only a few meters. If you guys go straight across, it's only a few meters to the infirmary. And you can see the infirmary, but that's about as far as you can see. That's how bad the storm is getting. And it is very, very cold. I am going to have you guys make a stamina roll.
Okay, one sec. The stamina.
Oh, interesting. One sec.
No problem. You have no successes, Chip. Would you like to push?
What's the consequence if I don't?
If you don't, you will take a point of freezing damage and a point of stress.
Okay, so let's go ahead and push. So I need to hold on. I gotta add a.
Yeah, add a stress and then hit the push button on the roll itself in the chat log.
There we go. Yeah, that's nice.
Looks like I got to rejoin.
What's wrong?
It's just my character sheet.
Oh, is doing something?
It won't respond to any of my button presses.
Oh,
So
that's weird. Okay, yeah,
we can
just close and come back. All right, so Chip, you do succeed, but you also have a panic. So would you please roll? You know what? I don't know that the new character sheet has a panic roll on it, which
I
seems
don't
like a
know.
big
Let's see.
oversight for this game.
Yeah, it is. Personal. Yeah, that's weird, huh?
Yeah. So that's fine. Just roll a single d6 and add 2.
6.
All right.
So 5.
So a 5, which is holding it together. So I don't need to have
Okay.
my. I guess I should probably grab my what you call it, my screen for easy access. But anyway, so you're holding it together. Sharif, are you back?
I'm here, but it appears that you'll have to roll for me.
Oh,
I
right.
don't know. My character sheet now was not coming up at all. The only way I can get it to come up is when I click on it, it's blank, and then that little box that creates its own window.
Yeah.
I can get it to come up in there, but the problem is that now I can't make any rolls from the window. It's
Very
like
strange. Well,
it doesn't
you
recognize it.
failed your stamina roll. So do you want to push it and try again?
Yeah, that would be good.
All right. Still no successes. So, as you cross over to the infirmary, you realize just how freaking freezing it is, and you come to the conclusion that if you stood outside more than a couple, probably more than 20 minutes, you'd probably freeze pretty quickly. But the infirmary is infirmary door does not have a lock on it. It just opens as you approach, and you step inside. So you do. Well, do you have the ability to manipulate your character sheet at all?
I can do so away from the game, like by creating its own window. I don't know if it saves the information.
That's very strange. All right. Well, the net effect is you take an extra point of stress and you take a point of damage. So,
Let's
but
see
I
if I can add a point of. Okay, it does let me.
okay.
It does let me do that, but like here, I'm going to roll stamina. Nothing happens.
All right. All right.
None
Well,
of the rolls
we'll
come
work
through.
through it.
Yep.
So your starting health is what, 2?
Yes.
So you move down to 1. All right. Very good. The infirmary, as the door opens and you step in, it's the air here is much warmer, obviously, and it starts to defrost you almost immediately. It's very, very comforting. Um, the infirmary is a big square room. It's just the whole building seems to be one room. There's a section with a surgical bay off to one side, and then there's a number of gurneys and beds, diagnostic equipment, anything you could ask for, cabinets, that type of thing. And as you step in, this woman looks up at you from a book that she's reading. And she puts a scrap piece of paper into the book, an actual physical paper book, and she sets it down on the counter. And she says, "Well, hello. You two must be from the ship that landed."
That's right. I'm Louise, and this is my son Chip, and we're here to see Dr. Mehta. We were told we needed to get some cold weather gear from the store. Sorry for disturbing you.
No, it's fine. I'm glad to see other people. It gets lonely around here.
What do you do?
I'm the RN here. For what that's worth, outside of a sinus infection, not a whole lot happens here. But no, it's
That's good.
I'm how many of there are you? Is it just the two of you, or
No, we came with two other people if you count our pilot.
if you can pilot?
I mean, he's not staying, is what I mean.
She says, I I see. Do you have any idea what's been? Well, have you talked to manager Whalen yet?
Yes.
Okay. And he has he told you about some of the troubles we've had here?
Yes, to be honest, I mean, I know I'm an outsider, but I'm quite alarmed. Some of the news is, well, it's just not good.
No, something's not right here. Um, I I wanted to I wanted to get Paul and excuse me, manager Whalen. She kind of rolls her eyes. I wanted to get Paul and take a hike out to the lab complex when the sun came out a few hours ago, but he just felt like it was best if we just stay here and just wait because he knew that your ship was scheduled to arrive. Um, so here we are, but something's not right around here. Someone broke into my infirmary last night.
You don't say. That's terrible. Are you aware that the damage to the network was done by what appears to be some type of vandal? It looks like it was chopped in half with an axe.
Um, her eyes widen a little bit, and she goes, "No, I didn't know that. Um, I'm just glad I wasn't in here when whoever it was broke in." She points to some of her cabinets. They rifled through. They took some Napro leave. They took a couple med kits. They took general supplies. It nothing that we wouldn't give to anybody automatically, just on an as needed basis here. Um,
Who do you think could do something like that? Why?
I don't know. Um, I don't know. I mean, no one here at the complex would feel the need. We're all we all live in close proximity to each other. If someone if someone needs some help sleeping, they just I either go get it for them or I tell them what to look for. It's of course I spend most of my time here just reading, but I'm getting a little uncomfortable with that.
Do you have any idea what Dr. Mehta's been up to in the lab? Have you heard anything about his work or
No,
what
they,
sort
they
of tests they're running?
no, they call up when they need supplies, which we haven't heard from them in a few weeks, which isn't anything abnormal, but uh, about shoot, I don't know, a few days ago, maybe a week ago, um, we started we started having some power fluctuations. The lights would go really the lights would go really dim, as if the power was being drained from the colony. Um, Paul had uh, Paul had called down to the lab complex the after the second time it happened to see if they were having the same issue, and they said it had to do. Dr. Mehta said it had to do with his experimentation, that it required large amounts of power, but it was nothing to worry about. It would happen now and again, but it has to be a lot of power if it's causing our lights to dim here. We've got, I mean, for God's sakes, we've got a standard fusion reactor.
How long ago was that?
It started about a week ago. It's happened, I don't know.
And it lasted for. It
Um,
still goes on sometimes.
well, it hasn't happened in a few days. It started about a week ago. It happened, I don't know, I didn't count, 10, 12 times maybe. And, but it hasn't happened in a couple days.
Can Louise run a physics observation test to see, or check, I mean, to see if she has any insights into what sorts of testing or experimentation processes could lead to such a massive
Sure,
power drain?
sure. And you know about your special on that, right?
Yeah, +2.
Yep.
But I think I have to have you do it because I can't.
Oh
My
shit,
character
that's
sheet.
right. I'm
Sorry about
sorry.
that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry you're having difficulty.
In the meantime, Chip is looking a little bit more worried and is kind of looking around the. This is the infirmary you said, right?
Correct.
He's looking around for anything that's interesting to him because
Okay.
he's getting really worried about his girlfriend.
Yeah, it's you seen one infirmary on a colony, you seen them all. It's if you want nap relief or never sleep pills, this is probably the place. Actually, I'll let you make an observation roll, and I'll bring that up in a minute. But Dr. Mallory, you know, and this is of course the rest of the team is going to hear this, but I'm going to ask you guys to just act like you didn't. Um, of course, that Dr. Mehta was working on uh, his own interpretation of, or his own theories of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and he, of course, he hypothesized that it'd be possible to. He believed that the different universes overlapped. Uh, Essentially, due to what he considered a vibrational constant keeping them from occupying the same space and time. And he believed that if he could isolate that he could, in fact, even build a machine that would allow the two universes to overlap in a finite area. Well, doing such a thing would require massive amounts of power, huge amounts of energy. So,
Could he really have done it after all these years? Tell me, sorry, I forgot her name. Let me
Talia,
tell me, Talia. What's your opinion on our chances of getting out there tonight?
she says I wouldn't do it.
You think it's too dangerous?
You're even with cold weather gear. If it hits the low that we're expecting tonight, you guys will freeze to death before you get there.
All right, so I guess we really truly are stuck here. Wasn't sure if Paul, I mean, Mr. Whalen, was just being difficult on purpose, or maybe a touch disinterested in helping us.
No. It's dangerous out there at night, especially during a snowstorm. She says, while the road is, we haven't plowed it in a couple days. You shouldn't have any trouble following it. The snow drifts on either side are huge, but you don't dare make that trip at night. Um, I, I'm not a technician. I have no idea what it would take to get the tractor back up and running.
Okay, Talia, well, thank you. I can't tell you what a comfort it is knowing that you're here. At least somebody on this base seems to be paying attention to what's going on.
She says, "Yeah, it's I I'm yeah, thank you, and I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad to see someone else who seems to have more concern." Chip, as they're talking, you're kind of nosing around, and it's all the normal stuff. There's surgical tools, there's med kits, um, all the standard drugs that you would expect. Nap relief injectors, never sleep pills, that type of thing. Um, but you do find two miscellaneous injectors filled with a almost transparent greenish fluid. And based on your two observation successes, I'll tell you that you're pretty sure they're X-Tim injectors, which are, is an illicit drug. Um, it it mechanically speaking, it increases strength and mobility by one for a few hours, but it's highly addictive.
And are these just out in plain sight, or are
Now, they
they?
were they were they were in one of the cabinets that you were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I was doing it quietly where she's not
Make a
noticing
mobility
me.
roll.
Okay.
I think that's a fair question. I would think
Yeah.
that as Chip started to really look around, he'd probably try to do it surreptitiously.
Uh, teenagers.
Oh yeah,
One panic. I'm a little nervous about this, but
you are a
all
little
right
nervous
now.
about this, but you do have three successes, which is great. Roll a d6 and
And
add your stress.
all right, somebody, I think it was Bob who wrote that if you click stress level, that might do something.
Oh, look at
No?
that! It looks like it's clickable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what did it do? It looks
Well, I
like
have
it.
two panic now.
Uh,
I've
you
got
have
two
two
stress
stress.
levels, so I got two dice because I
That's
pushed twice. So.
Yeah, but it should still only roll one stress die. Either way,
Okay.
well, you rolled
Yeah,
a
I'm not
two and a
sure.
four. You
Uh-huh.
rolled a two and a four, which you only had one panic, so you should have only rolled one die. But even if we take the higher one, which is four, and add your two stress, you're still fine. So either way, you're holding it
Is
together.
is that the rule? For some reason, in my head, I can remember about you roll as many die as stress points you have.
No, you
No.
roll as many dice as you
Oh,
rolled panics, and you only rolled one.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I'm
then
not sure why that's.
if you were to make a roll where you had two panics come up, you would roll two panic dice and pick the worst result. But
Okay.
yeah, but that's fine. Even if we take your worst result, you're fine.
Okay.
And that's probably what's causing you the. That's probably what's causing you to, feel the stress a little bit is when you found, a couple injectors of illicit drugs in the infirmary.
Right. Right. But I am going to palm one of the syringes and just put it in my pocket.
Okay. Um, so it's a tiny item. So it has no weight. You can just put it on your gear as an X
Okay.
stim injector.
X stem injector. Got it. Gear. Oops, encumbrance. Wait, what's going on here? Got it.
All right. Very good. Very good. Very good.
I will ask Talia before we go if I could avail myself of a nap relief.
She
I'm
says,
feeling very anxious.
absolutely. Now she goes over to a cabinet, um, and doesn't notice that Chip had palmed something and had turned around, probably whistling innocently. Uh, and she pulls a nap relief
That's
injector
my
out
boy.
and says, yeah, that's not a problem. Now keep in mind these are habit forming. Don't take too many of these. Um,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, she says, here, roll up your sleeve, and she hits you with it so you can drop your stress.
Mom, can I have one of those? I'm feeling pretty stressed here.
Sure, son. Step right
Somebody
up
that
to
uses
these.
together stays together, right?
That's right. Roll up your sleeve.
Excellent.
All right. Um, she says, Talia says, all right, well, yeah, the Seegson store, she points at the north door and says, just head straight out that door, follow the runner straight across, you'll be fine. Um, uh,
Side
and,
note: I really do like this NPC. I don't know how much longer she'll stay with us.
well,
So unfortunate because she's really nice.
um, so, so you guys head over to the Seegson store then?
Yes, we'll say thank you again and give her a little hug and
All
go
right.
our way to the Seegson stuff.
Yeah, she seems to warm up to you pretty quickly, I would say, Louise. So what's going on with Lamara and Edmonton over in the cantina.
Okay, so um, I well, I have to explain to Whelan that I'm a little surprised that uh, a Seegson manager who's responsible for all of this infrastructure and equipment that is valuable to the company would simply sit back and accept um, that someone is sabotaging it. Mr. Whelan, have you looked into the records of any of your employees? Is there any reason one of your employees might hold a grudge against the company, or be concerned about the research that's being done here? What do the folks know about the research that the Dr. Meta is doing?
The research is classified. I don't even have access to it. I don't know what Dr. Meta is up to. The only people who know what the research is Dr. Meta, um, his engineer Jaleel Ekwenzi, and I assume his daughter since she's out there with them. But nobody else has access to it unless he's spoken to anybody. But Dr. Mehta hasn't even told me what he's doing, so I can't imagine he's told Talia or Connie or Sven, who just left. Everybody here's been thoroughly vetted. Um, Sven and Connie have worked for the company in various frontier planets for over 20 years. Talia's been with the company for 5 or 6 years. Mr. Ekwenzi, Dr. Mehta's engineer, he's been with the company for 25 years. Everyone here is thoroughly vetted and reliable.
So you're saying that Sven is correct, that it's a Geist?
I I don't believe in ghosts. I didn't say that, but he said honestly, without a network connection to reach out to anyone at the company, what else would I do except wait for the company to send help?
I find this very disconcerting. Edmonton, could you step over here, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I'm now concerned about our ship and whether it'll even be usable. If someone's sabotaging the facility here, it's possible they could sabotage the ship. What kind of damage could someone do to our ship with an axe? Is it possible they could disable our ship, our shuttle?
Well, if they get in, they could smash the controls. They can cut wires. So yeah, sure.
If they get in. Um,
Yeah.
you said someone broke into the infirmary, Mr. Whelan?
Um, well, no, I didn't say that, but
Sven did.
Sven did, right? He goes, but no, somebody. I wouldn't say broke in the infirmary. We don't. The infirmary doesn't lock, even
Correct.
from the
I
inside.
understand.
But somebody rifled through it one night. Talia, our RN, came in after catching some shut eye and found that someone had rifled through one of the cabinets.
Was anything taken?
Some medical supplies, which is strange because they're you know that those are free as needed, which we really don't typically need them here.
But
Nothing.
only to employees, right?
Well, of course, yeah.
Okay. Um, so the damage to the tractor is outside. The damage on top of the building was outside. Now, someone theoretically should have had to go through the building, which is secure. But if we go on the assumption that whoever's doing this can't necessarily crack secure and locked doors and hatches, maybe our ship maybe our ship will be okay. I don't know, but um,
But I mean, I'm happy to fly you all out of here. Just say the word.
Well, we
Well,
can't get to the ship now. Uh, it just seems like it's getting very cold very quickly. Wouldn't it be very dangerous to go back to the ship now, Mr. Whelan?
He said it would be. You certainly would want to run over to the store and get some cold weather gear. You step outside the where you're dressed right now for more than a few minutes, you're going to freeze.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go there next, but you again, I hope you understand. Seegson Corporate's not going to look too favorably on what appears to be significant inaction on your part, and what steps can we take to secure this facility from further damage?
Well, the most secure building in the facility is, of course, the command center. That's the only way to access the reactor, and only I have access to the command center. And beyond that, the Seegson store and habitation both lock up. Sven, Connie, and I all have the ability to lock the Seegson store. Uh, Habitation locks from the inside, and I know the code to do that. I have not passed it out to the others because I don't want anybody locking people out in the cold. So, um, we can do something like that, I suppose. We would need to. The cantina doesn't lock, and neither does the infirmary.
Well, the issues that you have is um, it's important that the reactor's protected, so that's good. You've got the reactor, theoretically, you've got the reactor under lockdown. You've got the Seegson store under lockdown, which uh, I'm assuming has more than just cold weather gear in it. Um, it's a little disconcerting that the cantina, if it's continued to damage these machines or destroyed, our ability to have food and MREs is not just difficult, it could be impossible. The hab can be locked to protect it. Um, and then the infirmary, I haven't been there yet. I think that's the shortest way to get to the Seegson store. If we jot across to the infirmary and then jump across the Seegson store, we can minimize how much time we spend in the cold. But um, does the infirmary have an auto dock?
It does not.
All right. Well, at least we don't have to worry about losing the auto dock. I'm assuming the infirmary just has your basic medical supplies in it:
Right.
sutures, nap relief, glorified bandages and band-aids, stuff like that. Painkillers. Um, okay. Um, for right now, I think we've exhausted this topic. Oh, we need to get our cold weather gear before it gets any colder outside. So we're going to do that now, but um, I'd like to. I'd like us all to get together in the hab in about an hour so that we can discuss what we do next and where we go. If you feel comfortable with these folks here, then we've got to check the next. I think tomorrow we've got to check the next. The next possibility, which is that someone from the research facility. There's only three there, right? The engineer, the doctor, and his daughter. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, maybe something's going on we don't understand. But obviously, there's no indigenous life on this planet, so someone's doing this. We got to get to the bottom of it.
So make a manipulation roll.
Gotcha. Well, My sheet was open.
Okay, 2 successes and a panic. Uh, make a. What's your panic level? 1? Because it
One.
looks like you only rolled. So roll a d6 and add 1. Okay. So for a moment, it looks like Waylon is about to maybe disagree or buck a little bit, but then he says, "So, all right." He kind of, yeah, you want me to have Talia, Sven, and Connie all be in habitation in an hour? That's what.
Well, don't you think that makes sense that we all get together and discuss this situation? We're all Seegson employees. We're kind of on this planetoid. We're in this together, don't you think?
He says it. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, we can do that. That's fine.
So
I'll
she
make sure everybody. He hits an intercom on the wall and uh, calls over. He says, "Connie and Talia, are you there?" Connie comes over. They both answer in the affirmative, and he relays that we're all going to have a meeting over in habitation in an hour. Talia says it's about time. Connie kind of sighs and says, I'm doing inventory right now. Can this wait?" And Waylon kind of glances over at you and goes, "No, no, it can't wait." And she says, "All right." And that's that.
That's great. She flashes a big smile and says that's just the kind of take charge attitude that we like to see at Seegson. So that's just awesome.
He
Thank
says,
you very much, Paul. I'll see
says,
you in about an hour.
"You're
Uh,
welcome."
we're gonna head and get our cold weather gear.
He looks at his coffee and kind of goes, ugh, walks over to the far side of the cantina towards the sink and dumps it out.
All right, so I just take a quick look at Edmonton and we hustle our butts because it's getting cold outside. We hustle our butts uh, to the infirmary.
All right. Um, as you guys step into the infirmary, unless you have anything else you want to do in the cantina while this is going on, Malcolm.
Nope.
Okay. As you guys enter the infirmary, there's a woman standing there, which you've already seen what she looks like, uh, and uh, and she just kind of waves, says, I'm Talia. I assume you're with Louise and her son."
So nice to meet you, Talia. I've already heard some very nice things about you from the from Mr. Whelan. Thank you so much for the good work that you do here.
Um, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm I'm Mercedes and this is Malcolm and we're part of the team with the doctor and um, I'm sorry that we don't have an ailment or something you could work on. We're just cutting through your infirmary so we can get to our cold weather gear from the store.
She goes, well, no, I mean, don't apologize for not being ill. That's that's never a bad thing. But yeah, your friends just went there just a couple minutes ago. You just missed them, in fact. So, but no, I understand. It's when it gets cold out there, it's easier to cut through the buildings like this. So, okay,
I'm
well,
glad you don't mind, and I'd love to talk to you some more and catch up on things and see how your time here has been. Um, we at Seegson always want to hear the voice of our employees and get good feedback. But I'm going to get my cold weather gear, and we'll see you in the hab in an hour. Okay?
She says, all right, sounds good. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, on our way to the Seegson store.
All right. I am, because I made the other two do it, I'm going to make you two do it as well. If you would make a stamina roll, please. Even though you're in and out and it's only a few meters, it's really cold outside, and I'm subjecting you to the elements. So
Okay, let's see. Where am I looking on my sheet?
success for Malcolm, so he's fine. No successes for Mercedes. She can push the roll if she likes. Or you can just take the point of damage and the point of stress. Your call.
Didn't matter anyway.
Alright. Oh, so you did push the roll?
Yeah.
Okay, so you obviously gained stress from pushing, and then you take a point of damage and a point of stress from the cold. So you guys cross over into the Seegson store, which is apparently open. As you guys enter, you actually see the man Sven that you saw in the cantina. He's moving around further on in the store. The store is big. It's obviously the biggest building here, at least 50% larger than Habitation. And they've got everything here. They've got crates and crates and crates of stuff that are cryo crates that are locked with security codes, probably full of food and that type of thing. There's a power loader off in one corner. There's 3 huge bay doors in the back, probably for unloading supply ships as they come in. All the things that you would expect in a general store, especially one run by Seegson, from the standpoint of electronics and that type of thing. Only noticeable absence being a working Joe Android. There's not one of those here. You do all see this woman. She is coming up. She is moving through with a old-fashioned clipboard and paper and a pencil, going down aisles, marking things off. She calls over to Sven and says, Sven, you want to see what you can help them with? He kind of writes his hand cart size and walks over towards you. He says, all right, so we have a meeting in an hour, but what do you folks need? Well, it looks like, is this the whole group from the ship that landed?
Yeah, looks like we're all here. We need some cold weather gear. We heard it gets a little nippy on this planetoid.
He just kind of nods and says, yeah, it does. We've got heavy insulated boots with coats, everything you need. Overalls, coats, hats, everything. It'll protect you around freezing. When it starts getting really low, though, if you have to go out at night in this, you're still going to get cold. But it's better than what you're all wearing. He says, we don't have you set up on. We don't have you set up against your pay. We've got to get that done. But either way, a set for each of you. We've got various sizes, but you're looking at $200 a piece. He goes, oh, and he points at you, Mercedes. He goes, oh, and you owe us $40 for the prefab meals you took from the cantina too. Don't forget about that.
All right, hold on a second.
All the PCs are like, wait a minute, they want us to pay for something?
Yeah, as Malcolm grabs his gear, he just points at his gear and points at Mercedes and kind of just mouths, charge her.
that's a really good question, Mercedes. If you want to see if they'll, yeah, I mean, you can take a shot at that if you like.
I don't know the function of the card other than I understand if I want to go into a computer or try and go through a door or something.
Right.
But I don't understand. I don't know if it's going to work. But well, Mr. Nielsen, is it? Mr. Nielsen, how about we just put everything right here on this card, and I pull out my corporate data card with executive access, and say, I'm on the I'm one of the Seegson execs, and I think we can bill this all to my expense account. And I show him the card.
All right. Then you know what that's going to ask for. Make a manipulation roll, please.
Pull out my sheet again. I got too many windows open. Hold on a second.
I know the feeling.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. I'm sorry. Two successes. You do have a panic, so if you would roll a d6 and add 3 to it, please. We just lost Bob.
Did we?
No, we lost. Who did we lose? Oh, we lost Marty. Sorry, Bob. There he is.
Sorry. Had a network drop out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Had a network drop out.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I gotta open my. All right. You want a D6?
And add 3, please.
Let me pull up my sheet because I think I have a higher stress. I have.
Where's your stress 4?
All right. D6. No, stress is 3. D6.
So you have a 9. Interesting. He, wow, that's a high panic roll. He seemed skeptical at first, saying, I don't know. He looks kind of over at Connie. He goes, I don't know really what company policy is on that. And Connie says, "No, it's fine. It's fine." And so as he starts to take the card, you guys kind of fumble a little bit, and you. I think your briefcase probably falls off your shoulder or something along those lines, and when it hits the ground, it pops open, and and your pistol falls out. He kind of looks down at it, looks at you, and goes, and says, "Well, all right. Anyway, let me take care of this." And he
Well,
walks off the
Excuse
charge.
me. Let me. So I pick up my pistol and I put it back in my briefcase, put it back on my shoulder, and I just look at everybody. I'm not sure what is on their faces.
Well, how does everyone react to that?
Shock.
Whoa.
I take Chip by the arm and pull him behind me.
I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't mean to frighten you, but just, a pretty girl has to protect herself in this day and age. Don't you think?
Preach it, sister. Preach it.
All right.
I just learned the hard way. Someone like me going up through the corporate ladder with, there's a lot of creeps, a lot of stuff going on. Just makes me feel safe. So I'm sorry if anyone is disturbed or was frightened. I apologize.
All right, let's do this. It's 12:15 my time, and I'll be honest, I'm starving. Why don't we take like a 10-minute break and come right back to this?
Gotcha.
Sound good?
Cool.
Roger.
You missed the character introduction, but you probably surmised enough. um, Obviously, you know who you are. Sharif is playing Dr. Louise Mallory, a physicist. Jim is her son Chip, who's 18 years old, and Marty VP's a Seegson company rep. I'm sure you figured all that out already.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry about the timing. I managed to navigate the first daylight saving, and the second one caught out my alarm clock there.
Yeah, I figured it was something like that. Thermo, you back with us? Not yet.
Did you say me? Because I'm back.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting on Marty VP at this point. This this is starting to get the feel that it might be a two-parter. Might have
Perhaps.
I might have underestimated how much early investigation you guys might do. Though, I have to admit, with this crew, I probably should have known better.
Yep.
I think you just called us the slow kids.
Thorough.
Attention to detail.
That's right. Not slow, thorough. Big difference. You guys like to know absolutely everything that you're about to go into, even though you actually have no way to prevent any of it.
Experience is the best teacher.
Oh, there it goes.
Well, Marty, you're out in you're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia, Richmond area.
Oh, Virginia. Okay. Well, that's still barbecue country, right?
Uh, I wouldn't call what Virginia has barbecue.
Oh, really?
No, it's I like Midwestern style barbecue. I like sweet, smoky with a little bit of spice to it. Whereas here in Virginia, it's a lot of what we call this North Carolina stuff, which is the sauce tends to be a watery, vinegar base.
Oh, yes, I know that one.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
You don't like that, huh?
Yeah.
No, I just got an offset smoker I bought for my birthday, and
cool.
I'm looking forward to using it. It's the first time ever, so that's going to be an experiment.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I work with guys who do, and there definitely seems to be an artistry about it.
I've been watching videos, and then one guy says it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you set and forget. It's like a whole day affair. From like 5 a.m. to sometimes midnight, just to get it done.
Well,
It'll be fun to try.
I believe that. I saw a meme years ago that said when a man turns 35, he has a choice. He either becomes an expert in World War II or an expert at cooking meat outdoors.
Yeah.
I went with
Yeah,
the
I guess
first
I'm
option.
trending towards the meat.
I went with
Yeah,
the
I guess
first
I'm
option.
trending towards the meat.
So, all right. Well, it looks like everybody is back and accounted for. Brockenwich, who is watching us on Twitch right now, said I went with option 2. So, all right. All right. So, you guys, are in the Seegson store, and you've got. Oh, everyone can go ahead and put on their character sheet cold weather gear. It has an encumbrance of 1. And the one cool thing about these character sheets is they, once you fully enter something, they do auto calculate the total encumbrance, and that's a cool thing. Do you need me to put that in on yours, Sharif, or can you interact with it? You just can't.
I can. I'm just having a hard time getting it to save for some reason.
Here, let me see what's going on. Well, click the gear name line and put it in there. There you go.
Yeah, it just went.
All right, and
But
then
you said 0.5 is the.
no, it's 1.
No, 1? Okay,
Yeah.
1. Sorry.
That's okay. And it should. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It appears good.
Okay, good. All right, good. Alrighty. So mechanically speaking, the cold weather gear is going to decrease the amount of times you guys need to make freezing rolls when you're outside. If you're outside during the day wearing cold weather gear, you won't have to do it at all. If you're outside at night, you have to do freezing rolls with an increasing frequency. Now, mechanically speaking, when it's really, really cold, you have to make freezing rolls once per turn. Without cold weather gear, the cold weather gear will push that out pretty far. You know, instead of once per turn, which is 5 or 10 minutes, you're talking about like once an hour. So it gives you much more survivability. I mean, in the end, you're not going to be able to live permanently outside when it's 70 degrees below 0 Celsius, because that's pretty damn cold. But it'll keep you going for a little while. All right. Do you guys have anything else you want to do in the Seegson store / Colony Supply while you're there?
Well, that's a good question. We have. You said it's a several hour hike to the research
During daylight, yeah, 3
area.
hours.
Yeah, during daylight, but it's several hour hike.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us. I'm trying to think if there's anything in the Seegson store that.
Maybe we can ask McReady to fly us out to the Norwegian base before the storm sets in.
Come on now.
We do have a Norwegian here, right?
Wait, you do. Sven.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Speed.
Or was it the Swedes?
I think McReady took them for Swedes. And then the
Yeah,
doc
he
corrects
did.
them.
What a great movie.
It is a great movie. I haven't watched it in a while, I hate to admit.
All right. Well, we're going to be waltzing out there tomorrow. Can you guys think of anything we'd need?
Well, keeping in character, I would say no. You know, excuse me, I got to sneeze. One sec. Sorry.
Keeping in character, he would say no, but getting out of character, Sharif would like a flamethrower and a machine gun.
Yes, and I would like to take Malcolm up on his offer to get the fuck off this planet.
Which would kind of ruin the story.
But no, it's, keeping it in character. She's just anxious to get to the lab. There's nothing else to do. she has prepared by getting her cold weather gear. She's got a kid in tow, so she would say, "Let's go. Let's go to habitation for this meeting and play some 3D chess or whatever."
Did I get my card back from Sven?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sven. All right. Well, I'm going to don this cold weather gear and I'm going to head back to the hab.
Same.
All right.
Marty VP, your character portrait, it looks like she's got a knife behind her back. You know what I mean? Doesn't it? Like her expression is like,
Yeah.
Are
real
you
good.
are you
I
are
got
you
something for you.
are you saying her expression's like predatory or something along those lines?
Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Oh
I
my
thought it was
God.
more like she knows something that you don't.
Well, that could be the knife behind her back.
On her back.
In this game, it
Yeah.
certainly would be, wouldn't it?
Or the pistol that fell out of her briefcase.
Oops.
Just had to bring that up again, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Sorry. What about
You
you?
were, you were just waiting to do that, by the way, weren't you?
It wasn't my fault you rolled a 9. I can't control that. Um, Malcolm,
All right.
you got anything else you want to do in the Seegson store?
No, I think just gear up what they gave me and be ready to move.
All right. So we'll jump forward. We'll move you guys over there and jump forward an hour. So you've got
I'm going to go through the. I want to go through the infirmary again
okay.
and ask Talia. Is that her name?
That's her name.
Talia. This has all got me a little bit on edge. Do you have something you could take the edge off with? I hear there's something called nap leave.
Yeah.
She says,
That's good.
"Yeah, I do. You and your crew are
Junkies?
yeah, you guys are." She says, "You're a jumpy bunch, aren't you? Aren't you?" She says as she reaches into a cabinet. I've only got a few of these left. I'll have to get Sven to bring some over from storage. But yeah, she gives you an injection.
Thank you. And we're going to be heading out tomorrow. I'd like to have one for my briefcase, if you don't mind.
She says, "Yeah, I suppose that's fine. You're expecting trouble?" She says as she hands it over.
We're not sure what to expect. Everything's been surprises so far. And we're just most of us are just kind of like office nerds, and we're not used to the great wild outdoors.
She goes, I understand that. Of course, these outdoors aren't very great and wild. You should see the place in summer. It's nothing but gravel. There's just nothing here. But okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
I'm going to thank her and continue on to the habitation.
And over the course of the next hour or so, it gives you guys a few minutes to kill. Of course, who took damage? I think Louise and Mercedes both took a point of damage.
Correct.
You guys can gain that back while you're hanging out in habitation. And you guys have an hour to kill. Well, not quite an hour, probably at this point. Maybe a half hour to kill after you guys went to the Seegson store as everyone shows up for this meeting. If you guys have anything particular you want to discuss or do, or we can just move forward. Up to you.
Well, let's dispense of a formality and let's pool the information that we've all pulled together so far. And let me say this is This is darn peculiar. It's clear from what Edmonton found and the tractor and the rifling through the infirmary that somebody's sabotaging equipment. Somebody's doing it. Yet Wayland is adamant that it's not one of his employees, and it's just darn peculiar, don't you think?
Yes, there's a lot of things going on around here that are very bizarre.
Uh, and I think it's interesting now that we've discussed everything we've learned from each other that um, they haven't heard from the test site, the research site, in several days. But all these breakdowns, or should say sabotage, started a few days ago. Power fluctuations started a week ago, which means they were drawing, according to Dr. Mallory, means they were drawing a lot of power. So we've got these power fluctuations. They're drawing a lot of power. So they were doing some kind of experiments or testing of something starting a week ago. But now 3 days ago, so they started doing some testing. Now we can't hear or can't talk to them. And the interruption in communications occurs the same time we start having sabotage. Doctor, I'm going to ask all of you. So far, it doesn't appear that Waylon or Sven were the only two I asked directly know anything about the research that's going on. Did any of you ask any of the others if they knew what was happening? What Dr. Meta's work was about?
Well, I have some experience with the doctor's work.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is there any reason if one of these folks, this Connie or Sven, the Nielsen's or Waylon or Talia, if they had some kind of moral issue, if they learned something about the testing and had some moral issue, could they be sabotaging the facility? But so far, all I've heard is that nobody knows what the doctor's doing there. Is that consistent with what you have heard?
Yes.
Of course,
So,
they could be lying, but
sorry, go ahead.
out of game question. If I want to try and detect if somebody's lying,
It would be an observation roll against, it would be an observation roll.
okay.
Yep.
All right, good. So when everyone meets in the hab, we'll ask again. We'll ask each person carefully, reiterate, do they know anything about the research? Now, Doctor, you were going to say you know something about Meta's research?
Indeed, I do. I mean, I worked on his project for many years, and he's a good friend. And I suspect that he has potentially made a very important breakthrough, which is why I've been sent for, is to help him get just across the finish line here and make his theoretical discoveries into a experimental reality. But I'm very concerned. I'm concerned for what's going on at the lab. You know, the fact that we haven't heard from him or his daughter or anybody else from the lab. is not a good sign. Um, I'm worried for the possibility of black body radiation that might have been released outside of the containment set up at the lab. I'm worried about other quantum field disruptions that could potentially have arisen without anybody noticing. I don't know what their inertial observation systems are like. In other words, there's a lot of potential here for something very tragic to have happened up there, and we need to get some detection set up, and we need to get some eyes on those people to make sure that everybody's okay. I'm sorry, Chip. I know this is hard for you to hear, but I feel like sitting here until another 9 hours has passed is just increasing the gap of potential tragedy, and we need to get in there.
Is it possible, what you know about the experimentation and the use of the power? You just named a bunch of issues. Is it possible that somehow um, this experimentation somehow affected one of those individuals such that um, they're now acting irrationally, that maybe one of them is doing this sabotage?
I mean, hypothetically, could we rule it out just out of hand? No. I don't think it's likely, but I don't think we can rule anything out because of the way that Hawking radiation is theorized to work. Any number of biological issues can arise, and now I'm getting somewhat outside of my field. I don't know all of the uh, uh, studied effects of quantum radiations on the structures of the brain, but I think it's more likely that they've suffered a slow degradation of their faculties over time, and they're possibly you know. I just don't want to think about what their possible situation is, but
Okay.
it could be extreme. It could be extreme. We could be dealing with a very tragic situation here.
How do we feel about when we go to the facility tomorrow and it's clear we have to get there quickly? How do we feel about leaving this crew behind us, so to speak?
What do you mean by this crew?
These folks, the Nielsen's and Waylon and Talia, they're going to be at this facility, and if someone in this group is causing the disruptions in the equipment and the problems, then they'll be behind us. They'll be able to well, let me just say, we can't keep our eye on them to see that they don't do something else or do something. Paul keeps saying over and over again that they haven't done anything. They've only damaged equipment. They haven't hurt any people. But how long will that last?
Well, I mean, what do you want us to do about it?
Well, that's a good question. There might not be anything we can do about it. But I am worried about. I am worried about. I am really worried about the doctor and his engineer and his daughter.
So at this, Chip is very agitated and worried, and he's like, "Mom, can I just go to the room? I'm really worried about what's going on." with
Sure,
cooling down.
Chip. Sure. But stay inside, okay? Don't get any ideas. I don't want you out there even just to look at the stars. It's dangerous, son.
Yeah, okay. So Chip grabs his stuff and heads out to go back to the hab.
Look, there's something else that once Chip is out of earshot.
Yep.
There's something else I couldn't really say a moment before, but now I feel like I can speak freely. We may not be alone here. That is to say, there might be something else present on this base. Let me start at the beginning. Dr. Mehta's work involves, how do I say this? Rectification of dimensional space-time. In other words, the bringing together of two separate dimensional space-times in the same occupancy. It's hard to explain, but it's extremely dangerous and requires a lot of power. I mean, a lot of power. The kind of power that can only really be generated by some sort of nuclear generation facility like they have here on the base. What they've been experiencing the last couple of weeks is not inconsistent with the potentiality of a de Sitter space Lorenzian manifold being started. And if that's happened, Dr. Mehta may have opened a portal into another dimension. Something may have come through it. It's not simply a question of buildup of Unruh effects or Hawking radiation. There could be an aggressive, sentient alien presence on this base.
Well, let me ask a different question. Would it, to keep this portal open, and wouldn't it require the continued expenditure of energy?
Yes, very much so.
So-
Only the portal doesn't have to be open for more than a few moments for an exchange of dimensional entities to occur. One of us could step through in a moment, or something else could come in. And then they're here, aren't they? Provided the theoretical application of the doctor's work are viable.
But if you keep the portal open, then a whole army of things could come across.
Well, that's extremely theoretical, but hypothetically possible.
I'm wondering. We'll talk to Mr. Whalen. I'm just wondering if we could regulate or limit the energy draw from the test facility to just that required to maintain life support systems and basic systems. In other words, effectively through software or whatever, put a limiter switch on so that they can't continue the experiments. Although there's no indication that the experiments have been going on for some time yet.
Well, without knowing exactly what's happening there, I can't recommend unscheduled power interruptions that could have a detrimental effect on whatever it is that they're doing.
I wasn't thinking about a power interruption necessarily, but we can ask Paul to check on.
What you're suggesting is potentially dangerous too. It could cause a reverse feedback loop. There could be an explosion.
I'll ask Paul to check the power consumption.
What's got me very, very concerned is why isn't this being monitored better? These tests are extremely dangerous. Any number of fail states could occur in the testing process that could lead to loss of life or explosive events, or there's any number of points at which this could go bad, and there's no real-time monitoring. Nobody knows.
Well,
this is very unusual.
There's no real-time monitoring from here. We simply don't know what they're doing. It's fine to guess and talk about it, but at the end of the day, we have to go over there to see. Maybe they've got a massive monitoring setup there. Who knows?
At the very least, we're going to need a a level 4 radiation monitor at the very least before we can approach the laboratory.
We were just at the store. Now you're telling us this?
I'll be sure to retcon that so that we have one in our bags.
Let me let me let me ask: is anyone in this room qualified to operate a radiation monitor and interpret what it tells us?
Well, that's what I do every day.
Okay.
Yeah, and how hard can it be? I saw it in the movies. It goes tick, 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 and the faster it goes tick, 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 the faster you run away, right?
I mean, he's not wrong.
Hey guys,
Only nowadays they're
I'm gonna
digital.
go out of
What
game-
country
I'm
were you
gonna
born?
go out of game for a second. I'm a trained nuclear engineer.
This is hilarious.
Watch it.
Oh my god.
Okay, back in character and scene.
What's that?
I'm literally wiping tears out of the corner of my eye. This is so funny to me.
Okay, so we've got all our concerns and issues on the table.
By the
The-
way, I'm
the-
sorry, I gotta say this. Sharif, your techno babble is fantastic.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun.
There could be a Lorenzian manifold. I mean, it's
Oh,
that's great.
Did you just shit that out of your mouth? Was that something, or did you?
I am.
have
It's a
that prepared?
combination of shitting out of my mouth, and I have like 3 Google tabs open
Oh,
with
that's
various
fantastic.
quantum. I'm not even trying
Yeah.
to put this together in a thing. I'm just spitting out words
Hilarious.
as I see them to try to sound like
That's awesome.
a future physicist might talk.
That is awesome.
So much fun.
I thought it was pretty good. Besides,
Well, it never stopped dawning on me that you know exactly what the hell you're talking about, and
well,
I'm just
yeah,
throwing
I'm actually
pieces
trained
on
in
the
quantum
wall
mechanics.
and laughing my ass off while I'm doing this. But anyway, I'm sorry. That was too much fun.
No, it was
All
good.
right,
It was
back on
good.
target.
Now, if we can get back in the game, I feel compelled to. Make this trek tomorrow to see what's going on, Doctor. If you think we can get some radiation monitoring from the Seegson store, that would be great. What I'm concerned with is that the shuttle is unmanned and unprotected, and I'm concerned that our ability to bug out if we had to would be compromised. Not only that, at any rate, the ship could be tampered with or damaged. But that's just a concern. Anybody else have any
I
other
hadn't thought of
issues?
that. Do you think Chip is in danger here? Do you think all of us are in danger?
I don't know. Wayland keeps saying over and over again that no people have been attacked. But we don't necessarily know that for sure until we get to the research facility. Is Chip in danger? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping none of us are in serious danger based on what's happened so far. On the other hand, do you think you have any way, short of duct taping him to a chair, that you could keep Chip from going with us tomorrow?
There's no way.
Yeah.
He's going to need to see with his own eyes that. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Kalinda? That Kalinda's okay. It's just. I'm going to have a conversation with him so he understands that this is real world consequences now and that he can't go running off by himself. He's going to have to follow our protocols. I'm afraid that's going to go to for all of us. We all have to approach this laboratory very cautiously and carefully so that we don't add to the problem.
Yeah, I do not want to glow in the dark, Doc. I'm following your orders.
How close are we to the scheduled briefing that was supposed to happen?
We should.
Probably 15 minutes before people start filtering in, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right.
What is Chip doing while this whole discussion is going on?
Chip stopped by the company store to see if he can get in there.
Oh.
I don't know if he if it's something that is left open or if there has to be the.
Well, Sven and Connie hadn't left yet to go to the meeting, I would think. So so they're probably still there, which means the place is open.
Okay. Yeah, I went in there just to kind of poke around and see what the supplies other than cold weather gear are in there.
Pretty much
he's getting-
within reason, pretty much anything in the RPG book.
Oh, okay. Am I being supervised by whoever's in the store? I don't know how big the store is. A few meters.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty big. It's it's like 6 meters by 10, give or take. So, that's roughly 22 feet by 30 something. So it's not a small place. Connie's doing inventory, and Sven is doing whatever she needs him to do in the process of doing that. So if you're actively trying to not be supervised, it would be as simple as making a mobility roll, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
All right.
Because Chip thinks there's something really bad happening, and he wants to get over there as fast as he can. So, yeah, let me do my mobility.
All right.
Mobility, there it is.
Two successes.
Oh, he's a sneaky little fucker.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is there anything in the store that would help me get to the lab tonight
Now that's a
that I could lift?
That's a really interesting question. What'd you have in mind?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it gets down to what you say, 50 below?
Yeah, or cold.
So, I mean, just breathing is great.
Yeah.
And the cold weather gear that I have now probably only goes down to like 10 or 20 below, right?
Yeah, it'll protect you to some extent, but you're mechanically speaking, Paul Whalen told you that it would take at least 5 hours on foot to get there overnight, and just because of the conditions. And mechanically speaking, the cold weather gear will prevent you from having to make a freezing roll. You'll have to make a freezing roll once every hour, so that's 5 freezing rolls to get through. Just wearing what you're wearing, so that's a tough thing to be sure.
Right.
So you're looking for something that would help you.
Like, I don't know, a rebreather, something that, I mean, right now he's just panicking and out of game. He's panicking and, just
Yeah.
looking for anything for him so he knows he's done everything he could. But
Make an observation roll.
all right. Observation.
Oh, ouch. Would you like to
Damn.
push it?
Oh yeah.
All right.
So I have to add the stress
Add
first.
the stress first, then roll, yeah. And then hit the push
Right.
button.
Sorry, this always takes a second.
No, that's
There's
okay.
that.
No problem.
And push. Oh, rats.
Well, it
Okay.
didn't roll the stress die, though.
Ouch.
It didn't
Oh.
roll, just roll a single d6 to account for the stress die.
All right. Man, I miss having 2 monitors here.
I
So
couldn't
just a
live
1d6,
without
right?
monitors. Yeah. That's
2.
still not a success.
Nothing.
Um,
So I guess
Yeah.
in my frantic panic looking for something, I can't identify anything that would help me survive getting there, and I'm smart enough to know that I probably would die.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, is there anything just as long for the effort? Anything cool I can lift out of here that might help me down the road? Is there
Um.
a? I don't
Sure.
know if the armory's probably not open, but
Yeah, they're certainly not in the much a way of weapons. There's pretty much any tool or piece of equipment or electronic device or anything along those lines that you could possibly find in the rule book here. Most of which,
how about one of the torch cutters?
yeah, yeah, I'd let you. I'd definitely say. I mean, that's a standard tool. So yeah, there's a cutting torch. Sure.
Excellent. I am
Let
going
me
to lift the cutting torch.
let me ask, what is Chip's heavy machinery?
Is cutting torch heavy machinery?
It's heavy
I don't
machinery
have
when
anything.
it's heavy machinery when used as a tool, but you can also use
Uh-huh.
it as a weapon for close combat.
True,
Ah,
but I
Yeah,
was just
that's what I
thinking
want.
as a tool.
yeah. I
Yeah,
believe
my heavy machinery is 0. I mean, I'm a kid. I've got 2 strength,
Oh,
so you know.
but I believe
Um,
it adds. I believe it adds +3 to either roll. I believe.
all
nice.
right. Well,
I'll double check that, but I
yes.
believe it. Oh no, I'm sorry. It adds +2 to a heavy machinery roll. It does on close combat. It does 3 damage and is considered armor piercing, and it has a battery supply of 5, a power supply of 5.
Got it.
So that gives you two different items, and that's weight 1. That gives you two different items that have a power supply 5. So you'll have to keep track of those.
Okay.
But I like the way you think.
Thinking like a teenager that needs to break into something. All right, cool.
Quite,
I'll leave there and then go back to the hab so that mom doesn't know that I was wandering around.
quite the juvenile delinquent you've raised there, Dr. Mallory.
It's the
And I have a PhD.
son of a scientist.
All right, so the and I've got 49 minutes on my clock here. The rest of the colony staff show up at habitation, kind of filter in. Talia, I imagine that Talia is there a few minutes early, um, and Paul Whalen's probably there right on time. Sven and Connie pull in a couple minutes late. She kind of shrugs and apologizes. Sorry, just trying to get to a stopping point on inventory. Paul says, well, uh, Ms. Lamara called this meeting, so I guess I will let her take the floor. And he kind of looks at you.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. I thought we should get together. Uh, I I'm very concerned. Um, I'm very concerned with the problems, technical problems that you're having, and the breakdown of the tractor and the breakdown of communications. You've lost communications with the outside world, but you've lost communications with the research facility, Dr. Mehta. That's pretty concerning, and the infirmary. Um, Someone rifled through the infirmary and took some items, and I think you all realize that. And I just wanted to discuss the situation with everyone. We feel that we need to go to the research facility tomorrow to try and speak with Dr. Mehta and his engineer and his daughter, make sure everyone there is okay, but also see how things are going with their work for Seegson. Uh, now, I I wanted to ask what you thought. Doesn't 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 this concern you? Aren't you um,
Talia is nodding. She goes, "Yes, I'm very concerned. I've been concerned, and I've been asking Paul to check in on the people at the lab complex for the last day or two." Paul kind of looks down at the floor.
well, Paul? Do you have an explanation why you didn't do that?
I didn't. It just they're pretty much out there. They let us know if they need anything. I just didn't honestly. It just really hadn't dawned on me because I figured they were fine. Things
Okay.
happen out here. We're in the frontier. Sometimes we just lose. We just sometimes the communications go down. They come up. Things happen. Hadn't really considered that we had a bigger problem until you kind of laid it out to me.
Well, Paul, I know you said this once, but let me ask you again. Did you know anything about the research that the doctor was doing?
He shakes his head. He says, "No, that's all above my pay grade."
All right, I'm gonna do an observation, see if I can detect if he's lying.
All right. No, seems perfectly honest.
Um, Connie, Sven, let me look. Connie, have you heard? Do you know anything? Has there been any discussion maybe with the doctor's daughter? Have you heard anything about his research? What they might be doing out there?
Um, Connie looks over at Sven. Sven looks back at her. She goes, "No, we really didn't have much interaction with Kalinda or Dr. Mehta. But when they got here, a year ago or whatever, they stopped in. We met everybody. They met everybody, and we gave them some basic supplies. Friendly people. I mean, Kalinda's a very nice girl, very outgoing. He's Dr. Mehta was he's a little reserved, but he was friendly. We didn't really ask him." Connie says, Sven's like, "Don't really have to. Scientists are never up to any good." And then he looks at Dr. Mallory and goes, "No offense."
Mallory crosses her arms indignantly.
Did you know what this job entailed when you took it, Mr. Nielsen?
He said, I mean, it's just another frontier colony job. We we do supply and logistics. It's just what we've always done. It's how we met." He smiles at Connie. She smiles back.
So is it when supplies are taken to the research facility, is it you two that take the supplies?
Sven goes, "Usually I do."
And you drive the tractor to do that?
"Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Not going to carry all that stuff by hand."
Uh, do you have any particular? I hear a tone that scientists are up to no good. Do you truly do you believe that this research was up to no good?
He kind of shrugs and he says, "Why else would they do some sort of research or experiments out on a planet in the middle of nowhere, so far away from civilization and anyone it could possibly hurt?"
Well,
Connie kind of puts her hand on Sven's shoulder and says he's generally distrustful of scientists, and she smiles at him, and he's a little superstitious. Just don't worry about him.
Well, Mr. Nielsen, you seem to know the way to the facility pretty well. You've been there many times. Have you ever been inside the research facility?
Just in the living room and kitchen area. I've never gone anywhere else there.
I'm just wondering if it might not be helpful if you came with us tomorrow to help us get there safely.
He he looks over at his wife and he looks at you and he says, "No, no, I don't think I'm leaving my wife here. You you can get there just fine. Just follow the road. It's the only it's the only there's only one way to get there. You just follow the road that's not got 20 feet of snow on it, and you'll find the place just fine. But I'm not leaving my wife by herself." She kind of she probably sighs and rolls her eyes slightly.
Is there some specific threat that you can think of to your wife if you left her here alone? I wouldn't want anyone at this facility to be in danger. Is it dangerous here?
He shrugs. He says, "Something broke into the cantina, and something damaged my tractor."
But you haven't seen anything or anybody.
He says, "I was on my way into the cantina the other night when I heard whatever it was in the cantina. I hesitated and I went back to the store to get my shotgun. I came back, and whatever it was, as I opened the door and came in the cantina, it was going out the other way. I didn't get a good look at it. It was
So,
dark."
so it damaged one of your machines?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
the one that had one of the ones that had prefab meals in it.
Uh,
Wait a minute. You said it? You mean they, right? Not it, right?
I I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see it.
What exactly did you see?
I, it was just it was dark. The lights were off inside. When I came through the door, when I came through the door with my shotgun, it was dark. I just caught a glimpse of something going through the door on the other side right before the door closed behind it. I don't know what it was. It was just a fleeting glimpse.
Can you, without being afraid of being judged or having us think that anything you're going to say is impossible or outlandish, can you just tell us exactly what you saw? It's very important.
It could have been a person. I'm not sure.
What about it was not like a person?
I didn't get it. I just barely caught a glimpse of it. I could barely see it, and it.
Was it bigger than a person? Smaller? Did it have the same general shape? Did it have a different shape?
No.
Did it have 10 arms?
It was about the size of a person, perhaps, but it had a large. It had a. I don't know. It just a shadow of a limb, something larger than a person's arm. That's the only impression I've got. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem human to me. Paul kind of sighs out loud and he says Sven is Sven is notably he's notably superstitious. He reads horror novels and watches horror vids, and he you can't he's just his brain is just matrixing what he's used to interacting with in his media. Please
His
don't.
brain is fried by too many Martin Parisi books.
Well, Sven, let me ask. We're all very thankful for your sharing. I know how difficult this might be. Um, do you think it attacked the meal machine to try and get food?
There were prefab meals. There were meal packets missing.
So it or them, whatever, broke the machine open and got some meals out of it.
Yes. Yeah, we did an inventory, and there were 4 or 5 missing.
Talia, uh, can you say specifically what was taken from the infirmary?
She she kind of looks back and forth, like her eyes shift back and forth from you over to Paul Whalen, and Whalen just kind of gives a brief nod. She says a couple med kits, uh, a bottle of Never Sleep pills, a couple injectors of Naproleve, and we had some recreational drugs. Let's just say that, and some of those were missing.
If let's just theorize that this was the same person, shall we say, that broke into the cantina. Um, that's a pretty specific acquisition, don't you think? They would know what nap relief does, right? They would know what never sleep pills do. Don't you think?
Stands to reason. What's your point?
Well, um, Sven doesn't think that it's necessarily human, but if it wasn't human, how would it know what those things do? It wouldn't. So, um,
Tends to imply that whoever's doing it is a who and not a what.
correct.
She
That's what.
she looks at you and she goes, Ms. Lamara, I don't believe in aliens or ghosts. Neither are a thing.
Well, and there's no reason for anyone in this facility to break into the infirmary or break into the cantina to get food. You all have your cards. You can just get access to the food. You can get access. There's no reason for any of you to have to break in. If someone wanted nap relief, you might ask some questions, but you're likely to let them have it, aren't? Isn't that true?
Absolutely. Within reason. If they asked me for 6, injectors, I think that would represent a problem, and I would probably want to consult with them a little bit to find out why they have such needs. But if someone walked in asking for a dose of nap relief to relieve some stress, maybe help them sleep, I wouldn't think twice about it.
So, is there? So, if it's a who, do you have any theory on who this is?
Talia kind of looks at you and she looks at the others, and there's a couple head shakes, but she says no. Connie pipes up and says, "Whoever it is, didn't obviously didn't want their identity to be known, as evidenced by rummaging through the infirmary when nobody was there, but also by breaking into the food dispensers at the cantina. The Cantina's food dispensers are biometric access. One merely is to put their thumb on the pad, and it knows who it's charging for the food. So why break into it except you don't want there to be a record of who you are?
But if it's a Seegson employee, they can get food anytime they want.
Correct.
Let
But
me
the
ask.
system makes an entry every time someone makes a food request, because it has to know who to charge it to. That's why we have the thumbprint access.
Mr. Whalen, let me ask a different question entirely.
It says, all right.
If someone outside landed on this planetoid to try and, let's say, collect intelligence, maybe some industrial espionage. Um, One, is it possible to land a shuttle here other than the landing pad? Because obviously someone did when they made the colony, right? Someone had to land to make a landing pad. Is it possible? And would you have necessarily detected it with your equipment in the C3?
It says, I'm sure. The only way that would be possible is if their ship was equipped with stealth technology and had their beacon turned off.
So you think it's unlikely? It's an unlikely scenario that someone came snooping about and maybe had an unfortunate event that stranded them.
It would be easy to land a ship here on Taurus to um, during the summer months, but that's 2 months past. During winter, it's almost impossible. The only reason we even manage to keep the landing pad clear is because we obviously we plow it, but also the landing pad itself has heavy duty heating elements underneath it to make sure that the snow melts whenever it lands on it. So I don't see that as possible during winter, at least. There'd be no way to land a ship and keep the ship in good order, but unless they would have to, for us to not pick them up, they'd have to turn their beacon off, and the ship would have to be equipped with stealth technology, which is military grade. That's very expensive.
Is it also your opinion that, let me back up, this person, for lack of any other description, broke in, but you don't have any indication that this person is hiding out at night in your buildings? Would you have any way of knowing that? Is it possible that they're tucking themselves away somewhere where they can't be seen? Because your opinion is that it's virtually impossible to survive outside at night without some sophisticated equipment or enclosures, right?
12 hours at the temperatures this planet gets down to in the winter at night is a long time.
And it's not just one night. It's
Our balmy nights get down to 20 or 30 degrees below Celsius. Nights during storms like this one can get as low as 70.
okay. Well, I think we're going to strike out for the facility tomorrow when we have sunlight. Uh, I would say, Connie or Sven, is it a good bet that the Seegson store has some local communications equipment that might allow us to stay in contact with you here while we go there?
Connie nods. Sure, we've got radio equipment, and Paul, points at his own radio that he has attached to his belt. And he says, and we can certainly use a frequency if one of you has a radio, or I'm sure Sven and Connie can provide one. Do any of you have a hand radio as part of your gear?
Oh,
I
good question.
think, yep,
Oh, look
I
at you.
have one.
Of course, I don't. I'm a desk jockey.
Yeah, Malcolm will just pull out his radio and align frequencies with whatever they use over here.
Very good. Easy peasy.
And
So Paul shrugs and goes, "Problem solved."
okay, so what I'm suggesting is that while we make this trek, that we report in routinely and let you know how our progress is, so you can keep track of what's happening with us, and also let us know if you have any activity that's going on while we're gone that you can report to keep us up to date. Uh, that is a good question. These activities, um, do you feel confident that if they had occurred during the day, you would have seen it? So the infirmary was broken into when Talia wasn't there. I'm assuming that was at night. Is that correct?
Yeah, Talia nods. Of course, she says, of course, 75% of the day-night cycle right now is at night because we're in winter. But
Yeah, I
yes,
get that. So,
Talia kind of speaks up. At this point, I think really, I don't think anyone should be left at the main colony complex alone. I think we should always be together in pairs at this point.
well, Paul, what do you think about that suggestion?
Paul sighs and he says, I still think that everybody's making too much of this. I really don't think we're in any real danger. But if it'll make everybody feel safer, of course, Sven and Connie are pretty much always together anyway. So, but if that means Talia wants me to stay with her all the time, then I can do that. Talia kind of rolls her eyes.
Well, Talia seems like a very amenable sort. I don't think that you would mind that very much, would you, Paul?
Talia mumbles something, but it's inaudible.
All right, we won't even go if there's any history there. Paul, something that you might do for us is, if you would, before we go tomorrow, I'd like you to check the reactor status and look at the power draw from the research facility and see what level of power it's drawing now, and if you can look back at any of the data and see when there were any power surges or higher power draws, just give us some history on that. That would help us understand a little bit about what might have been happening there before we walk into the place. So if you could do that for us, I would appreciate it.
Says I can handle that. That's easy.
That would be great. That would be great. So I think that's generally what we're going to do. And I guess that I feel that the doctor and I need to go for sure. Malcolm, how do you feel about this little walk in the winter wonderland with us? Are you up for it? I know you're our pilot, but I think it would be extremely helpful to the group if you could come along and provide us with your insight and your background as we see what's going on. What do you think?
Uh, Sorry, did you say danger pay?
I said what I said was that it would be great if we could continue your employment with Seegson Systems into the long future.
I'm with you there. I'm already on board.
That's
Count me
great.
in.
I really love it when we're a team like this. That's awesome.
Don't worry. When we go, I will cover your back.
If we get into any really heavy action, I'll be behind you every step of the way.
Uh,
Stripes was on day before yesterday. It was funny. Okay. I'm just going to look to everybody else. Is there
somebody moving a box?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I should have been muted.
It's okay. Just trying to figure out what that was.
Doctor Malcolm? You have anything we should be doing? We should be preparing for, based on our previous discussion. Is there anything else to cover? Okay. Okay, everyone. Thanks for coming to the meeting. You can all go now. We'll touch base with everyone one more time before we leave in the morning, and if there's anything we need from the Seegson store, we'll be sure to come talk to the Nielsen's. And Talia, I'm. Do you have any med kits? Do you have any med kits left after the pilfering of your med kits?
I've got a few.
All right. I'm not. I don't want to jinx us or wish anything, but you never know. Someone could trip over a rock and twist an ankle. So we'll probably need a med kit to take with us.
I'm sure I can manage that.
And we're only going to be a few hours, but I don't know how long it's going to take. But we should take some water and at least a few MREs with us, just because. I mean, it's going to be a 3 or 4 hour walk anyway, right, Hike?
Yeah. I think
So-
Malcolm grabbed a bunch.
He did, but I didn't know if that was common knowledge or if that was just
Yeah,
his supply.
And that was just for my mid-afternoon snack. I mean,
That was just to get him through the evening. Okay.
yeah. Comfort food.
All right, the Nielsen's head off back to the store to go do inventory.
Paul, could you can I walk with you? I'm assuming you're heading over to the reactor.
That's what I was going to do. Yes.
Sure.
Since you asked.
Let me walk with you and talk to you for a moment.
All right. He opens the door to habitation. He he clips himself to the nylon rope runner that connects over to command, and
I'll hook up right behind him.
all right, you guys start walking. We'll come to you in a minute. What does everybody else want to do?
I'll, I guess, look through gear or go to the store if I have to get some kind of Geiger counter type device that we
Yeah,
could use.
we'll call it a CBRN kit,
Okay.
and that's out of the CMOM book, and I think you've made a valid enough reason as to um, why you would need it. So we're not going to worry about the economics of getting it. What's Chip up to?
Chip, Chip is laying on the bed with his hands behind his head and waiting patiently for the morning,
Waiting impatiently for the morning.
bouncing his leg up and down.
Gonna get any sleep at all?
Probably not.
All right. And Malcolm, you have anything you want to specific you want to accomplish?
No, nothing I can think of.
Okay. All right. Um. All right. So Mercedes, what do you want to talk to Paul about? As you guys are,
Well, I'm sure
it's
it's
probably hard to talk outside.
exactly. So I was gonna wait till we got into C3.
Okay. Um. He starts accessing the computer and says, "All right, Ms. Lamara, what else can I answer for you?"
Well, I just want to make a few things clear. I understand that everything seemed to start happening all at once a few days ago. And I understand that you couldn't contact anybody. Uh, and, uh, but you couldn't contact the research facility. And you've been taking a somewhat lackadaisical view of this, what we now know to be sabotage. And I can understand if you thought it was just natural breakdowns. Okay, I get that. But you had someone break into the infirmary. You had someone break into the cantina. You're adamant that it's none of your people. But I honestly don't think you did an investigation or any kind of discussion with anybody. Not really. So I don't appreciate this attitude. So you understand my position at Seegson, and I'm going to tell you directly that it's important now that while we're doing this, that we stay in contact and that you keep these people safe from whatever's happening. And if we run into something that you take my directives as if they're direct orders from the only boss that you have. Do you understand?
Make a make a manipulation roll, please. One success, but that's fine. He says he says yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay. And I'm just saying this so that we're clear that um, this is important. This is not something you shrug off. This is and not something you necessarily. Um, I understand that you expect help in a couple weeks from Seegson. I understand that, but it would be best if you just don't ignore it and stick your head in the sand. So we have to be a team on this and work together. Uh, we don't know what's going on. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I don't know, but it doesn't appear that it's nothing. So let's keep everyone safe. Keep all the Seegson stores under lock and key. Um, keep the C3 facility under lock and key. No one gets access to that reactor but you. How long do you think it'll take you to find out that information on the power consumption?
Not very long because I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, I'll wait then, and let me know what you find out.
So after a few minutes of him pounding on the computer, he's able to show that uh, power consumption to the facility was steady and at a relatively normal and low level for quite a
No,
while.
normal, like station keeping stuff,
Correct.
lights, heat,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay.
Exactly. And then a week ago, come on, there we go. Then a week ago, the first power spike happened, where there was seemed to be a substantial power drain from the main facility here, and I believe Talia already. I believe Talia and Sven both have already described that. The lights got very dim and fluctuated, that
All right.
type of thing.
So that corresponds to that. Did was the was at any time the maximum power output of the reactor challenged?
No,
Okay.
no, it just didn't. It didn't react quite as quickly for the sudden draw of power as you might hope or expect. But it never pushed that high. Um, it this power interruption or power draw, I should say, from the lab complex, according to his notes, happened 12 times, or according to the computer entries, happened 12 times. The most recent of which, about 3 days ago. It has not happened since. In fact, 2 days ago, overall reactor usage went down as the lab complex stopped drawing any power from the reactor at all.
Oh, that's bad. Uh, and you didn't notice this. You haven't looked at this till now.
Didn't really. No, it's not something I monitor as a general rule. When we had the first interruption in our power, Dr. Maida, I contacted Dr. Maida, and he explained that they were doing some experiments that would occasionally draw large amounts of power, and I just let it go at that. And when it stopped, I just figured he had ended his experimentation. It didn't dawn on me to check the logs.
So it's been 2 days, no power draw
That's correct.
in this weather, in this season, I should say. Okay, thank you very much, Paul. We'll touch base tomorrow morning before we go, and we'll set up regular increments for communications, and we'll give each party will give a status report each way, just to make sure you're fine, we're fine, and we communicate anything that we find or see or going on. Um, I'm hoping for the best, but um, we should plan for not the best.
Because I understand. I'll keep everybody together, or at least as together here as I can. And Connie and Sven will probably lock themselves down in the Seegson store, which is fine. And I'll stick with Talia. I'll either keep her here with me in command, or we'll stick to habitation.
All right, I think that's a great idea. Thanks so much for your cooperation. I know this is a trying episode for most all of us. Uh, we, we we were just hoping to come and see some groundbreaking research and have some exhilarating intellectual discussions and check on you all to see how you were doing. And so far, it's been surprise after surprise. So thank you for your cooperation. I'm gonna head back to the hab and try and get some sleep. You have a good evening.
Says, all right, you too, Ms. Lamar. Thank you. All right.
I'm
So
gonna
as
head.
you head back to habitation, make an observation roll at a -2, please.
Ouch.
Well, it's dark and the weather's bad.
Well, okay.
push that roll if you like.
Why not? I'm gonna go to sleep in a minute, so I'll get my stress back.
It's true. It's very true. One success. All right. As you're walking, and it's, obviously the facility has external lights, but which provides kind of a little bit of a beacon to go along with the runner that you attach yourself to. But this weather's bad, and you feel like you couldn't see much more than 10 feet in front of you. Um, you kind of glance over your shoulder, and for just a moment, you see somebody in cold weather gear as they cross out of sight up here in between the infirmary and the Seegson store.
Does it appear that they're hooked up to any runners? I mean, how would I know?
With one success, I'm going to say you're not sure.
Okay. Um, Boy, this is a decision time. Obviously, I can see the infirmary. Is there enough light to see the Seegson store, or I just know that's
You just know
what's
that's
beyond?
the general direction, and there's probably a white blur in the storm from its external lights.
All right. I'm going to unhook from the runner, and I'm going to move directly to the infirmary, which I can see,
Yeah.
and slide up the wall this way,
Slide up the wall which way?
north.
Oh, north.
In other words, I can put my hand on the wall
I gotcha, and just follow it that way.
and just follow the wall, because I can rub my hand against the wall, and I'll have to dodge the runner coming at the doorway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's crossing my path.
Right. All right.
And see if I can continue to get a glimpse of whatever it is I saw.
All right. So that's good. I like that, because I was going to, if you were going to disconnect from the runner, I was going to make you do a survival roll, basically, to see if you got lost in the storm. But since you had a valid way of approaching it, a logical way of approaching it, I'm not going to make you do that. As you're doing that, I'm going to cut over to the other group. Three of you have just been hanging out, getting ready to settle in, I guess, for the evening.
Comment? I think you have about 3 minutes, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Continue.
Is that correct? Chip,
Yep.
Doctor, and Malcolm. Malcolm, your hand radio goes off, and it's Paul Whalen's voice. Malcolm, come in. Do you hear me?
Yeah, this is Malcolm. Go.
It's been a few minutes since Ms. Lamara left me. Has she made it back to habitation yet?
I haven't seen her, and I'll yell at everybody to see if they've seen her.
Okay.
Nope.
He says, okay, well, she should be on her way back, but I went through the power logs after she left. I went to do a physical check on the reactor. I opened up the hatch and went down. I really hate to even bring this up, but it looks like somebody tried to break through the security door into the reactor. They weren't successful. The door's intact, everything's fine. I even checked on the reactor and it's good, but somebody definitely tried to get through it.
Okay, I'll let the others know and see what they have to say.
It's all right. I'm going to lock this up tight here, and then I'm going to lock down. I'm going to lock down command. I'll probably stay in here for the night just to keep a monitor on everything. Um, okay. All right. He says Waylon out, and I think we're going to stop right there.
Okay, intriguing.
Yes, excellent.
Cool. Yeah.
Good point to stop.
How do you guys feel
Scary.
about this one so far?
It's very scary.
Yeah.
I haven't died yet, so that's good.
Hey, give it a minute.
Yeah, I know. That's good. No, it's good. I like the. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's this one's a little different from any of my previous games, so
Okay.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I think, and obviously I underestimated how long it would take to move through this, which I should have known better. There's a lot more investigation in on this one, but is everyone good for a week from today?
As of now.
Normal time, normal place?
I
Yeah.
am.
Sounds good.
Yep, I'm good.
Alright, sounds good. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Appreciate you guys coming.
Cool.
All right, beautiful.
Thank you very much. Good times. See you
Thanks
guys
a lot.
next week.
Yep.
See you guys then. Ciao.
Yeah.